I remember the first time. And I remember the first time. First time. First time. First time. First time. And I remember the first time. And I remember the first time.
And we only meet once in a while anyway.
It's gonna be lonely not being able to see you anymore. It's been great hanging out with you.
Why she run from me? Now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black. Girl, it's ugly. Fuck your company. Why she run from me? Now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black. Girl, it's ugly. Fuck your company. And I remember the first time you had me in your hold. Now you corrupted the safe file and it will never load. Yeah, Vincent that is darkness. Watch all his friends turn the phone. Yeah, trying to troubleshoot me, but I cannot be scrolled. Trying to sell me a dream, trying to sell me a home. While you tell me a lie, do you think I'm a joke? Swear I'm not a bad guy, but this path my only road. Never been hate in my heart, but you burned it in my soul. Cannot control myself, and I cannot begin to tell the lies and things you tell yourself. And why you put me in this hell. And I cannot control myself, and I cannot begin to tell the lies and things you tell yourself. And why you put me in this hell. It's over. It's over. It's over. And I remember the first time. And I remember the first time.
Here, you gotta leave now.
Don't get mad at me. Sorry if you feel that I abandoned you for a while.
And I remember the first time you had me in your home. Now you corrupted the safe file. It would never load. Yeah, missing that it's darkness. Watch all his friends turn to phones. Yeah, try to troubleshoot me, but I cannot be scrolled. Trying to sell me a dream, trying to sell me a home. While you tell me a lie, do you think I'm a joke? Swear I'm not a bad guy, but this past my only road. Never been hating my heart, but burned it in my soul. From me, now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black, girl, it's ugly. Fuck your company. Why she run from me? Now you wanna come back and now you love on me. But I'm confused why you think you deserve some trust from me. And your heart is painted black, girl, it's ugly. Fuck your company. Why she run from me?
Okay, then I'll leave and come back.
Now you love on me. Now you love on me. Want some trust from me? Want some trust from me? But your heart's ugly. But your heart's ugly. Why you run from me?
Still stay.
Love from me. And now you love
Okay,
on me.
Really
Now you
do.
got you. I'm gonna just defend myself because
but your heart's ugly. Fuck your company. Fuck your company. And I remember the first time. And I remember the first time. First time. First time. First time. First time. And I remember the first time. And I remember.
All right. I apologize. This is late. I wanted to do this earlier, but things happen. Life gets in the way. What's poppin'? Yes, yes. I imagine that I'm not capable of carrying a Kubera conversation about one chapter for very long. So I do have some other things planned with Vince for this stream after the fact. I got 2 videos in particular I do want to watch with him, so we'll be doing that after the fact. But I actually do want to talk about Kubera chapters every single week. Hopefully next time I have more people. So like me, Vince, Miles. I don't know what happened with Townsy and Satsuki. I don't know many other people who are like kind of willing to. I know Mikey was doing a bit of a reread and stuff, but I'll see what I can do. But let's get back to these Kubera discussions going. But I thought Abyss 13 was really good, so I do want to talk about it, hop into it because it tied in. It tied into in a way that I didn't see it tying into SIU blogs. So I guess I'll switch scenes real quick and go to the other one where I can react and stuff. There we go. Put my camera up. because I want to go through the chapter a bit because I thought it was really good. Get that up. I need my Shantae dancing. Now I gotta find. Okay, we should be good. We'll go through it, and we'll, you know what I'm saying, to say hi to YouTube. So, okay, so the last chapter was really good too. Miles and I did kind of talk about Abyss in general. We kind of spoke about the first chapter to the 12th one, but like them both having the eye of perishment was pretty sick. And then Callan Vinca doesn't actually know, from my understanding, how to use it. Vishnu just gave it to her. And it seems that Ran is in a position right now that he's supposed to be doing something with the Eye of Perishment specifically to somebody, but we don't know what it is and who it is and why he's supposed to be doing it. So I thought this chapter was intriguing. By the way, I think I mentioned this before, but I really like the kind of rule set behind this item. I kind of think it's cool that it's an item that it helps evolve Suras, but it comes with a drawback. But if you were somebody who had whatever ulterior motive or reason for wanting a Sura to evolve, and you can give them the Eye of Perishment, you cannot lie to them. You have to explain to them exactly what the pros and cons of using this item is, or else even if they end up using it and you omitted something, you twisted your words, you just straight up led them astray, they will still transform and develop, but you will feel the full force of the consequences that they were supposed to deal with. You will deal with it for lying. I effing love that. That's brilliant. I think that's so good. So let's get into this chapter a little bit. So Ran just reveals the item, and what I think is interesting about this chapter, because I think it's realistic. And when I say realistic, obviously, I just mean in the sense that human nature and distrust would be going on here. And when he pulls it out, and Kalavinka is like, "Are you trying to get the item from me?" And then she's like, after when Raltara, Maru, Tara, Raltara, whatever is going on with this fusion here, is like, use it on me. And then it actually makes Callan Vinca a little bit curious, like, should I even trust this guy? And then vice versa, he seems to be put in a lot of Maruna roles now, where Maruna's the one that's being taught to just kind of do the right thing and be a Sora man of action, chicken of action. And Ran is learning to be a bit more calculating, to not just kind of impulsively do some ish, which I'm really a fan of. So I like this part where he's like, you're talking about developing for Maruna's sake, and after there's like a question mark here, because obviously Calvin is the sister, and like you were forgotten, blah blah, you refused it, and then he thinks there's a flashback of him talking about it, and he thinks that someone's trying to trick him. Are you just pretending to have come back to sanity by trying to deceive me by impersonating Raltara? And at this moment, I thought he saw through something. I thought for some reason was able to straight up confirm this is not Raltara. This is like Maru or someone trying to imitate Raltara. Or if Raltara is in whatever this kind of hybrid fusion is, the person who has the dominant will is Maru. All right, the real set too, but since this is still Callie we are talking about, I won't be surprised if there's a catch to it. I agree with that. She probably added some extra little tidbit or caveat to it, which would be really interesting. But yeah. So this was good. So wait, what's going on here? Oh yeah, so this is the part where like Kalavinka like starts to like go a little bit not crazy, but a little more aggressive, a little aggro here. What does my big brother have to do with developing? Like, are you guys in cahoots the whole time? And after he starts thinking about the situation with Utah, this is exactly what I was thinking about too when I said like the calculating thing, because this is when the God of Earth tells Maruna again, you are being calculating, and for Maruna to be able to see Utah, I always want to say Jatayu first, and that's not even his other name either, but to see Utah first, to see Utah, and after like he just kind of acted, and Maruna has been a bit more. impulsive and less calculating since that moment. And it really started, I'd argue, with during the weight of time and him hanging around ancient humans and humans and whatnot, and just kind of being around them so much. I think his perception of them changed, but this chapter just had so much like really good things and callbacks in my honest opinion. So if it's true this Raltaro is the real one who barely regained consciousness, yeah, I love how Rad and Burnett sort of switch. Exactly, absolutely. They've been on a trajectory where they're almost like crossing paths like this, where it's like Maruna has to be a bit more Rad like, and Rad has to be a bit more like Maruna. So he's thinking here, he's calculating, and he's like, what if this really isn't Raltara, and whatever this is, and I use the Eye of Perishment on it, it develops further and gets even more powerful. Like he's trying to consider every variable that he can think of before he makes a decision. And then he's like, can I develop? Then he's like, what are you thinking about? Don't fall for BS. The item is mine. Use it on me. And then he's like, damn it. I guess it's because I suddenly got confused because of Raltara, but I'm starting to get suspicious of her too. Isn't it just way too risky for her to develop? Because I judged her as a good person just because we fought together for one night. These are all very real things. Like, I don't know you. You know how relationships between the races in this webtoon could be a little testy. Like he's already kind of started to see the cracks between gods and whatnot. So like honestly, like my point is his progression to this point for him to be this distrustful and mistrustful right now makes complete sense to me. I've seen the steps. It's really good. So, like, no time. I'm just barely holding on. Don't listen to that bitch. You'll regret it, yada, yada. And he's like, all right, let's do it like this. And I have a feeling it was going to backfire on him. But considering who this is, how much information he's working with, I thought the kind of plan he came up with here was kind of brilliant in tow. I really do. I think it's really kind of smart. The wish you make on this item will be about Maruna. Once a human and Sora agree on a wish, the item is supposed to develop. And once you agree to which I propose, when the item develop, the more sincere of you two. I don't know if it works that way, but what do you think? Like, I'll do it, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, what are you going to do? Wish for Marin to find happiness? You're like, no, I can't agree. Like, oh my God. What I like about this is just the consistency. Because at the end of the day, the relationship and the way that Rand perceives Maruna might have altered, but he will never forget what Maruna had been doing prior to even him probably being alive for many of years. So he cannot with all his heart and soul wish for happiness for someone who's killed so many people, especially so nonchalantly. He says, no, I can't agree to a wish like that. Even though Maruna never harmed me and seemed like a good person, that was only because I was a human that was of use to him. It will look completely different from the perspective of countless humans that died for the sake of his goals. Simply wishing for Maruna's happiness could be a very dangerous thing. I like that. And then they're like, okay, so what should we do? And I remember I'm like, bro, I wish for Maruna to realize that humans are creatures equal to himself. Not superior, not lesser than, equal. And it kind of looks like he has the ponytail a bit here. I don't know if he's in his fifth stage here, but I was just like, this is kind of brilliant, I think, in my opinion. Now, I did have some additive thoughts when I saw this, which worried me. I was wondering if somehow Rand's interference here was actually somehow messing with Maruna's personality and natural growth. Like, it was almost like Maruna didn't necessarily do it. It was because Rand made the wish of the Eye of Perishment. I don't know how all the timelines are adding up right now. I don't think that's the case right now. I think that was just my initial reaction. Like, damn it, did Maruna start to change because of Rand? But no, I don't think the timelines match up at all, so I don't think that's the case. So I think Maruna's growth naturally is through his own will and journey that he's been going on, throughout the way of time, other side of the story, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think Kalavinkas is like, I don't know about that one. But Raltara kind of immediately is like, all right, I'll do it. And I'm like, I don't know if this would make me more or less suspicious. I'm not going to hold you like, yeah. For Maruna's sake, yeah, humans. I'm like, I don't know. You was kind of quick. he was kind of quick to jump to that, and I'm like, I got trust issues, though. I'm just a distrustful motherfucker. So, my first reaction was ran wish for something that probably already materialized without him realizing. That is kind of true. But I would ask you this: do you think that he actually at this point is like? I think I can agree with that, but just let me add this. Do you think that it's more that his opinions of humans is growing exponentially and is getting to that point where he doesn't see himself as superior to them or sees them as these like disposable life forms? Or is he already at that point where he truly sees himself as equal to humans and humans as equal to him? Humanity as a whole, not just specific ones that are useful to him. Because that's kind of the question that I guess I would ask myself. Because I'm with you. He's wishing for something, and Maruna's already on that path, so to speak. But that's kind of how I took it. Not necessarily that he's already there, but I could see it. He's done a lot. He's developed into his fifth stage and everything, but I love this. And then she agrees, but she's sweating. So I was like, do I trust this bitch too? So I was like, I don't know. So Rand does the thing. Ita itu Kali. It goes away, and he's like, huh? Then it's kind of like a classic Rand moment, like, huh? Look, then he's like, Ita hitu Vishnu. And this made her suspicious of him now, like, but even more like, wait a minute. Why did you just summon and spell? Then you said Kali, but then you said Vishnu. What the fuck's going on? Like, you are mad sus right now. I think it depends on how much time Maruna has spent with the time related flies too. We don't know how much time his new info has. Okay, that's a good point. When we have the timelines match up, it'll make sense. What a complete sham. He's like, no, seeing as I can't cancel it, the item must be correctly. Then he coughs blood, and I wonder if somehow he made a mistake, or somehow are they actually gonna develop and it takes a second or something, or maybe neither of them I don't know what's going on, but I always had a sense that for some reason, even if it was just for a time period, he'd end up taking on the consequences of the Eye of Perishment, the punishment of it. Very intriguing regardless. He was already on the way anyway. I feel that. And then after, like, Raltaro seems to go crazy and attack him, and he's, like, crushing and he's dying, and actually Kalavinka tries to saves him. I'm not sure what this look in the eye is supposed to mean here. I think this panel, make sure it's on my OBS properly. This panel seems significant to me. If you, like, zoom into this eye here, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at. I don't know why it seems important. Maybe I'm just overthinking things, but yeah. I thought that was interesting. And then he's like, you better repay me for plotting blah, blah, yada, yada. And after he's like, strange, just now my heart has been hurting so much, as if something is constricting my heart. So his heart seems to be being squeezed by something. We don't know why or what it is, but that. And then after they went somewhere where they think they want to pursue, and I was like, honestly, like, quite literally chef's kiss. I really thought that was a really good she's seeing a ram impressed by her. Oh, they're not just guess. So I had a feeling I could have been overthinking that. So yeah, but I thought that was really good. I love that chapter a lot, man. I don't know if it might be my favorite Abyss chapter because of my, I guess, long-term connections and care about Maruna and Rand's journey. They're characters that I've been seeing since the very first season of Kubera, so seeing them go through these trials and tribulation, it very much moves me. But this is probably my favorite Abyss chapter, honestly. I think the last two, to me, kind of blended to one, but it was really dope. So, excited for more. Actually, I know I asked this last time, but my brain is awful, so I apologize for not retaining it. But for those who are in here for the time being, could you guys just remind me of exactly what's going on with the Kubera, like, break hiatus thing? Like, I think you guys told me Abyss is done, and during Abyss she took a break, but she's still putting out special chapters. That's my understanding. Trust me, some dope chapters ahead too. Oh, you didn't have to tell me that. I know. I know, bro. Kurigama is the one. So, yeah. Yeah, Curry's working on some special episodes. All right. Bet. That's what's up. because I was worried for a bit if I was gonna be if I was gonna have the double whammy. I said, wait, no Kubera, no Tower God. I'm gonna have to crack the whip on myself. Mhm. So, mhm. But yeah, okay. Ready. I'll probably put this on a thing later. Are the special chapters like similar to what she did with the season 3 stuff? It's still weekly to side stories. Okay, did she take a break or were those something she already had? Like, I wonder if she had those stockpiled already. Because I think, but then again, I guess she draws them a little differently. But honestly, those special episode chapters were really good. Like, I remember the really painful one of Yuta trying to give like Lee's that like memory or whatever, and he's like, "This is not real." I'm like, "Dang, that one hurt, man." Oh, I think I already saw some of the spoilers for that, so it is what it is. The truth be told, I would be angrier if I really cared about One Piece right now. I don't care, so I don't care that I'm spoiled. It's fine. Okay, thank you guys for listening for the 21 minutes I was here, but I'm switching topics now for the most part. Yeah, that chapter was good. You did read the special chapters though, right, Vince?
I always read the special chapters, man.
Okay. All right. Did you wanna peep one of those videos?
Yeah, we can. I'm here.
I mean, you can just get off. I don't. All right. Doing things. That's gonna be the new.
No, no. I'm,
That's gonna be the
I'm
new.
chilling.
No, I'm saying that's gonna be the new title. Doing
Oh,
things. Okay, so
doing that.
remember how I told you? Well, I told you I want to watch two videos with you. There's one I think we could just watch off stream, which is fine. But I remember us having this conversation before. I remember us having a similar all right, take care, Ashu. I know you. It's probably late where you're at. I know that you. We kind of agree that Kobe could be more efficient. I don't think any of us specifically called him like an inefficient shot chucker, but with some modern wisdom and conventions of the game and how things are played now, if he converted some of those long twos into threes and wasn't so like stubborn sometimes, where like he was trying to will the ball in the net. We've always said that he could have been more efficient. That's kind of like our argument. I don't remember if we ever said he was literally inefficient. Do you have that thought or no?
No, I don't. I don't think we ever said that. No, because I just knew from the process of the style of shots he was taking that he wasn't inefficient. Like if you, especially since he was kind of not a hot and cold player, but you just know he was just hitting shots you're not supposed to hit on a regular basis, just doing impossible shit. If he was taking regular shots, we know he'd be more efficient. Like that was to me that seems pretty obvious,
Okay.
but maybe not to everybody.
Nope. All right. I'm actually going to move downstairs. So just give me 1 second. You're in charge, Vince.
Oh.
You're not doing in charge things.
Oh, oh.
You gotta make it clap for the
Damn.
screen real quick.
Got you.
You say I got you. Don't agree to that.
I'm going to rule this chat with an iron fist. No,
Not
I'm
that
just
now. Oh, I didn't know you're done yet.
not my style.
Yeah. It's lagging like crazy. I need to come down. What is this, House of Dragons? Hmm?
House of
You
Dragons,
guys,
fire.
you guys just like pain, huh? You can see how Game of Thrones
Yep,
ended. Why don't you throw yourself back into this?
yep. But it's not the same people who directed it.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's
This is
not
the
D and
prequel or
D.
whatever, right?
Yeah, and it's not D and D.
Mm,
If it's D and D, if it was D and D, yeah, I would turn it on.
mm-hmm.
But it ain't them.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, they suckered me back in.
That's funny. Okay, what's up, Scope? Okay, sorry, give me a second. Let me just grab my ring light and then I'll be right back. My bad. Oh yeah, my fault.
Ugh. What else am I supposed to fucking? Got?
My dumbass switched to the wrong screen. Okay.
Don't don't forget to share your screen either while you here. You pull
Like
up.
I was saying. Actually, did you watch House of Dragons?
I'm not at liberty to say.
I know that. Does that mean you're supposed to be watching with somebody? They can see this.
Yeah.
I know those ones. Okay. Let me do things. I gotta find the video. I think his name is Legend of Winning. Legend of Winning. Is that right? Legend of. Oh, there we go. Found it. Oh, and I saw. By the way, good job on I almost said the Celtics. The Nets. I'm not letting Katie out that
I
bad.
told I told you.
I
I
hope
told you.
I hope he's sick, bro. I hope he's sick. I hope
Cause
that team's.
what the fuck he thought he was doing? Oh yeah. You wanna leave? Shit, yeah, sure. Nigga, you signed a 4-year contract. Good luck, stupid. Not letting you go nowhere.
That's so
We don't
funny.
have no we don't have no picks. Nobody gonna give us the press we want for you. And you talk about you wanna leave. Why would I trade you? If I'm gonna trade you, they gonna give me everything. And nobody wanna do that. So guess what? You stuck here.
Yep. And by the way,
It was simple.
I I saw something on Instagram today that said if LeBron James and Mike Tyson, no, if LeBron trained for 2 years to fight Mike Tyson,
Yeah, I'm not
could
I'm not
could
listening
he
to that.
win?
I'm not listening to that.
And like
Yeah.
the person who posted is like, you guys understand that this is insane dick riding, right? So I started laughing, but in the comments, there was a lot of comments that were like, but his reach, he was always been athletic. I said, I can't believe this, but I can believe it. If I ever hit that level of fame, I don't want dick riding that nasty ever in my life, bro. Where someone's
Bro,
like, if
LeBron
Nia trained for 2 years to race Michael Phelps in his prime, could he win? No, I can't. Don't say that shit. I'll clown you.
listen. I'm gonna say LeBron. I'm pretty sure LeBron is a nice guy. He seems. The only my only problem with him is he a funny liar. He a pathological liar.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, when he just be lying about silly shit for no reason, seems like a nice guy. Boy, oh boy, his fan base does not make anything easy at all. They give no quarter to make him unlikable. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jordan was the same, but I ain't lived through that, so I don't know. I don't know it as much. I
Man,
lived through it.
I was like
Yeah.
alive at the tail end. Because one thing I could always tell people is I remember I don't the word Bulls hysteria. Like I remember that. I was around for that because I was born in '93, right?
Oh yeah. So okay. So yeah. So you were around enough. Yeah.
Yeah, because I even had one of those the old school like varsity jackets, the kind of mesh ones, like the sick ones. Like to me, they look better than the ones you kind of have today. The sick, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. 90s.
I
Yeah.
had a, I
Stuff.
had I had
They
a
look
yeah,
better.
I had a Bulls one and one for the Raptors because the Raptors came out in '95, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's why I got my old Orlando Magic starter jacket. My old Patriots ones, '90s stuff. Yeah. I don't know why that stuff is better. I don't know why they make better jackets for that. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
it's not even that. It's not that surprising to me, but they're so clean. Like I want so many of them. Like I love a Grizzlies one from back in the day. Can you
With
see
the
it? Can you see?
memorabilia.
Can you see in the Discord? The
But okay, it just popped up for me. The
Okay.
live. And
Everyone who's here, let me know how the volume is and stuff. But yeah, so debunking the biggest lie told about Kobe Bryant's career. So just I guess I'll do this real quick because he's my favorite player. part of the reason that I wanted Vince to be here while I watch this is to make sure I'm not dick riding, because I want this to be true. I don't think I never saw him as like inefficient, personally speaking, because I understand things about the game that a lot of people will admit, because they'll look at his field goal percentage and be like, oh no, blah blah blah. But I thought he made a good case here, honestly. So let me know what you guys think. So let me know how the volume is and everything too.
What's up, YouTube? It's the one and
And when you want me to pause, just let me know. Just say pause or whatever.
Okay.
only Legend of Winning, aka Low. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Kobe Bean Bryant, who's a Hall of Famer, my favorite player, and just a few weeks ago was named one of the top 75 greatest
Happy birthday, Mamba, by the way.
players of all time. Now, to be fair, Kobe Bryant is a very polarizing player, and with that stance, there's a lot of criticism that also follows his greatness, most of which I do agree with and I do believe is valid. However, there is one piece of criticism that I never thoroughly understood: the concept of Kobe Bryant is inefficient.
Kobe was efficient, bro.
Kobe was efficient, but at the same time, he
was not that efficient.
Kobe is not efficient at all.
Very inefficient.
Oh, he was inefficient.
Now, the reason why this statement always leaves me scratching my head is because when I was watching Kobe Bryant, it never felt like he was inefficient. It felt like he was dominant, producing in meaningful moments, one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen in my life. And of course, there were the occasional games that certainly are a blemish on his career. And please don't spend too much time on the last 3 years of his career, because I'm definitely not going to try to defend it. But as a whole, I just don't understand how 19 years of a career as great as Kobe Bryant can be so synonymous with
20.
the term inefficient. So in today's video, we're going to see if that's true, because personally, I have a hard time believing that it is. Now, in terms of finding out how efficient a player is in the NBA, there are a handful of ways of doing so. For one, there's an actual stat called efficiency, or you can look at one's PER, which stands for player efficiency rating. However, most people are not aware of these statistics, and even the people who are aware of them really don't even know how to properly calculate.
I will be honest though. I think I've come to terms with the fact that Allen Iverson probably was.
He definitely will. It's not all his fault though.
That is exactly what to say. Not all his fault. That doesn't mean I don't. Because I remember we were there in a round. We actually watched it, but I didn't even know he used to shoot below league average a lot of the times. But anyways, I have to come to terms with that one.
Calculate them to make an assessment on a player. But if you are someone who claims that Kobe Bryant is inefficient based off of his PER, I then would ask you, would you then claim that players such as Klay Thompson, Reggie Miller, or Ray Allen were inefficient because all three of those players have a lower PER than Kobe Bryant? Which more than likely, no, you would not. And the biggest reason why is because when people are critiquing Kobe Bryant's efficiency, they are referencing how efficiently does he put the ball in the basket. And the reason why I'm confident to coming to this conclusion is because when many people are making this assessment on Kobe, they then pivot to facts about Kobe Bryant's field goal percentage, or also highlighting how he has the most misses in NBA history, which is factually correct.
No, that's true. And I remember the first time I heard this and I couldn't believe it. And remember how I told you I underestimated the power of shot attempts?
Yep.
I was watching a game. What's up, Mikey? Actually, since you're here, I'm really trying to get more people to talk about Kubera. So if you're caught up, Mikey, and you're ready to come join some conversations, let me know, because I need help. I need backup. But shit. Yeah, so Gilbert Arenas was talking about how AI, like Kobe would be forced to play within the flow of the offense. And sometimes you have to do the triangle. You have to go there, whatever. Dump at the shack, yada, yada. And like with AI,
Yep.
It was like, you get in the ball, and you know where he was going, to the basket. Then you get the ball again, and then you know where he was going again. He's like miss foul or shot go in. He puts so much pressure on the defense. You're always backpedaling because he attacks you so relentlessly. And then I remember somebody saying, basically, Jordan is like scary because he's like that, but he's not going to miss. So it's like he's gonna go to the basket 30 times and hit like 15, 16, 17 of the shots. So the point of shot attempts is still like, when the best player is still putting up a lot of shots and putting pressure on the defense, maybe getting to the line, shooting free throws and stuff. That's still very valuable, whether it misses or it goes in or miss. Now, The second part of that I always found impressive personally. I remember, like, I'm a soccer player. That's been my sport. And the thing that I always found impressive about it is I'm not like that. And in basketball, I was pretty much just a rebounder and scorer. I couldn't do much else. If I take 6 shots and I like miss them, I don't want to shoot anymore. My confidence is kaput in my shot. I gotta go to the line, or I'm probably gonna start rebounding or dishing the ball, or try to find another way to be useful. Some people don't understand how hard it is. You know, like they say, like a shooter need to have like a short memory. That's not easy, actually, especially on the greatest stage. To be like, I've missed my last 20 shots. Oh, I'm open again? Just pull it. I overthink that shit and shoot an air ball. So
Well, I'll say it like how the second part of what you said.
Yeah.
I kind of see it more sometimes as this is not going well, and I'd rather be doing something else. I feel like I would be helping my teammates more.
Mm-hmm.
If you knew you were an all-time great scorer, then I feel like in some ways it's easier for you to just be like, oh, well, then I'm going to keep trying to score. But for some people who probably don't feel like that about their skill, let's just say you're just a good scorer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you're a great passer. You're going to want to stop trying to score the ball, even though your team probably needs you to score the ball because you just feel like I'm better at passing than I am at scoring.
I hear you.
And that could be a problem because you're just like, no, but tonight your team needs you to score 35. But you're like, that's not my best skill.
Mm-hmm.
For some of these guys, let's just be honest. Like Kobe could pass. He's actually a pretty good passer when he wants to be.
But he's a scorer.
But he knows his best skill.
Yeah.
He knows his best skill is scoring. It's not rebounding. It's not passing. When he was younger, that and defense probably were pretty equal, but it's scoring. So him putting up shots probably sometimes I think that's part of it. Just probably don't feel like nothing or a lot of great scoring. If you know your main thing is scoring, that's your main contribution.
And then
I think it's a little bit easier in that regard. I'm not, but you're right. Still not easy though.
Okay, no. I think actually that's a good point because if it's my job, it's my job. You know, where it's like I'm the captain, I'm the scorer, and win loss or win. I almost said win loss, win loss or draw. It's on me, and I'll take the responsibility. So I think you're right because they have even like Jordan, they have like a scorer's mentality too. But damn, I had another point. Oh, I also think that it's kind of. I do think this is one of those things, depending on your perspective and how you think about the game and sports, you could look at it two ways. But I think it's somewhat impressive for somebody to just be like, yo. Actually, I'll use an example first. You know, I always say, like, you know, we always talk about LeBron mailing it in sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always told you, I could see why somebody could look at that and be unimpressed because it's like no matter what, down 20, you play until the fat lady sings, so to speak. You play your heart out. You play to win the game. Well, LeBron could be like, we lost game 1, but down low complete, you know, and he'll mail it in and then win the next 4 games or win 6. Sometimes in the modern NBA, players don't mix it up. Like every player goes 1 from 10 from 3 and keep chucking threes, even though they have other skill sets. I agree with that. Trust me, I agree. I'm tired of threes chucking, right? But could like someone might? So remember, I said I think I've compared it to tennis to somebody who's down like a game point to love, and they're like, I lost this game. I mean, just conserve my energy and come back to the next one. But there's also a type of player that's like, I will score all these 5 points. I don't care what it takes. I don't let you score on me. And depending on who you ask, they would tell you why both things are okay, or there's pros and cons to each. So the shooting thing I think is similar. I think there's a power to not necessarily being overly worried about your field goal percentage and wanting to win. But I do see some players who are obviously thinking about it and trying to pick certain spots and high efficient spots. But sometimes I see how it's getting to if they can't get it, they almost don't want to shoot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's why I think Jordan is kind of the perfect mix of this because he was going for the efficient shots. But if he had to take a bad shot, quote unquote, he would take it and he could hit it.
He made
Kobe
bad
was doing
shots.
that shit on purpose.
Kobe was
doing
doing
that shit on purpose.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's why I say I don't think he's inefficient. I think he just chose to do things kind of on a harder method, to be honest.
Okay. But let me keep going.
However, and I cannot believe I have to say this in 2021, but it still blows my mind how many experts still make this mistake to this day, but field goal percentage does not calculate efficiency. Now, why is that? Well, simply put, because the definition of being efficient means achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. And in basketball terms, that basically means maximizing the amount of points that you score with minimum amount of attempts shooting the basketball. And because of that simple definition alone, field goal percentage literally cannot equate to efficiency because the only thing that field goal percentage equates to is accuracy. Let's say you have...
Are you a person that thinks that like certain players should shoot a certain field goal percentage, or do you kind of go by era? You compare them to their contemporaries.
No, I just go by era.
Okay.
I can't do a certain number for certain people because it's just I don't know. It's too many variables. I don't like that.
Okay. Really, the criticism of the inefficiency is when he had the years in between without Shaq and Gasol. Is that, I don't know if that's true, because one of those years were the years where he averaged like 35, and that was one of his most efficient years from a scoring standpoint. Actually, he was quite a bit above league average. The efficient, he always had that problem though. Honestly, I don't know if you ever read the book, The Three Ring Circus, but I want to say
I
Joe
have not.
Coleman. But it talks about the 8 years pretty much of like Shaq and Kobe. When I always forget the coach was there before Phil Jackson that they didn't like. Del Harris? Was it Del Harris? I think it's Del Harris. But they would
Yeah, I
talk
think
about
you're right.
how Showboat Bryant would take 20 shots and go 6 for 20 some days. Like, I think that followed him his whole life because he always thought he was like, I don't want to say he thought he better than he was, but his confidence in himself was so supreme. He was like, bro, I don't think he's like, what did he say to somebody? If I grab the rebound and they cussed him after the game, they were bullying that man low key though. They really were.
Yeah, well, because I'm looking at his field goal percentage. You're right. The 06 and 07 season, those are two of his best. And 06, he shot 45%. And 06 and 07, he shot 46%.
Yeah, see, I remember he was going crazy those years. It wasn't that he was an inefficient shot chucker. I don't think he got it with that. I think that's just a narrative kind of followed him because you just know Kobe has those 6 for 20 games but he'll make 11 free throws and maybe hit like 2 or 3 threes. You know what I'm saying? This is how it is. You'll still get his like 20 something plus, But yeah, I remember those years because you're just going crazy. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, I really watched that, and I'm like, this guy scored 40 points like 6 times in a row. And this is
his last 3 years messes his stuff up too. People don't. That's why I say you gotta account for that.
That's why
he shot 35% his last year, 37% the year before that, and 42% when he only played 6 games.
Yeah, that's why I think he doesn't take those years. I think he did 2000 to like 2013 or something like that.
If you take out that, he's basically 45%.
Yeah, that's I think if I remember correctly, effective field goal percentage is like what you actually tend to shoot more often than not, something like that. I'm not sure if that's the exact literal term for it, but his is about 45 to 46. That is what his like general field goal percentage is, and I think he shoots about 35, 36 from 3. That's generally what he is. I think for his career, he's about 33, 34 point something. 30, I don't know. I don't remember for his career. But
yeah, for 3-point career, he's basically 33%.
Okay. I wonder if that new Who documentary went into what that book said. I don't know because what I fear for some people, especially because I don't know if you've seen sometime like when Vanessa had like sued the cops that like let his autopsy and like pictures get out and stuff like that. Like, I do think that for the time being, because it's still pretty fresh for a lot of people, NBA and his family, they're not going to really want to say anything that's going to paint him in a super negative light. So even if it's like, okay, you know how Thinking Basketball will use the term resilient shot making? We know what that really means. You took a lot of shots, right? Like, you have to like use a couple of extra tidbits and tricks here to cover up certain. I don't know if they're ready to be that honest about him yet. I don't know though. I could be wrong, but that book was hard to read because a lot of those guys used to try to punk him, bully him. They used to be pissed off because they couldn't drink beer in the locker room when he was like 18, and like Shaq used to try to fight him. You know what I'm saying? Like it was hard for him. He was just a kid. He was a teenager in a man's world, and Del Harris was a hater, bro. Del Harris literally let him go out there and shoot 4 air balls as the Utah Jazz. I guess the Utah Jazz, I believe, to be like, you see, you're not ready yet type of thing. but everyone else saw something different. They're like, a rookie just took 4 long ass threes in a playoff game. He's fearless. So, anyways, my bad.
Player A and player B. Player A shot 5 for 10 from the field, all of which were 2-pointers, so that means that they scored 10 points with a field goal percentage of 50%. However, player B shot 4 for 9 from the field, which means that they have a field goal percentage of 44%, but since all of the shots that they made were 3-pointers, they were able to score 12 points. Now, even though player B had a lower field goal percentage, they still are more efficient than player A because they were able to score 12 points on 9 shot attempts, while player B was only able to produce 10 points on 10 shot attempts.
Do you agree with that? I know mathematically.
You know what? I've never really thought about it like that.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I put to say. That's why I want to ask you.
I mean, I've always separated 2 and 3, and I know analytics kind of looks at the game like that, and that's why they tell people to shoot more threes.
Mm.
But this particular example, I've never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't know. Like I said, to me, it's just so dependent on what your game is. I don't try to, because why am I going to tell you to shoot a whole bunch of threes if you're not good at it? Or like, it's the type of threes too, because for me, sometimes when I'm watching it, the game context matter. What type of threes are they taking? Are they taking good threes and they going into their step and then a rhythm and then they're hitting better threes and then stuff like that? Or did they just go 4 for 9 because they just fucking, they chunked up some shit and it was just going in and you're like, I can't do nothing about that. Sometimes that type of shit matters. Because if that's the case, then I still probably got to go with the guy who's shooting 5 for 10 because he probably took better shots or got to the rim. Because I don't think the dude shooting Hail Mary threes is sustainable. Mm-hmm. But that's just me. So it just kind of depends on who the player is and what the game was like and stuff like that.
Because the reason that because I remember you saying this and I'm like, just like you, I never thought about it this way. Cause I'm like, I just, I think about, like, really, all I saw this is like, I want more context. I want to watch the game, right? Like that's how I'd figure this out. Because 50 is higher than 44, so this is a better field goal percentage in this area, so to speak. But the problem is, if you go off what efficiency technically means, not only did he take less shots, it took less shots for him to get 12 points. So you can argue of player B, even though shooting 44 and took 9 threes, it's more efficient. So I'm like, that's an interesting point to make, but let's keep going.
So again, scoring more points on fewer attempts, thus making that player more efficient. So now you may be wondering, how exactly do we calculate efficiency if field goal percentage is unable to do so? Well, the best way to do so is to look at one's true shooting percentage. And the reason why is because true shooting percentage takes into consideration that threes are more valuable than twos, as well as looking at one's production at the free throw line. And the reason why it is important to make sure we take into consideration free throws is because 20 to 30% of the points that volume scorers record come from the free throw line. Now,
wasn't there some ridiculous number that James Harden was like higher? I think it was. At least one season he got like something crazy like 40 points.
Probably because James Harden is one of the best free throw shooters of all time. That's not that shocking. Like,
for the people out there who
James Harden takes a crazy amount of fucking free throws when he was having those years.
Are concerned about the legitimacy of true shooting percentage, especially when you're trying to figure out the true efficiency of big men who did not shoot threes or also were horrible at free throw shooting. Trust me when I say, please don't be too concerned, because when you look at the numbers, you'll clearly see those players are still very efficient scorers. But what is a legitimate concern is determining what is the standard of efficiency. Because comparing Kobe Bryant to today's era of basketball, quite honestly, just wouldn't do him any justice, mainly because how much the game of basketball has changed since he's played a full season in the NBA. And so to make sure we eliminate all of those factors, we're only going to be comparing
that was
Kobe.
A travel in our time easily. So
yep.
Yeah.
Bryant to his
if I remember correctly, 40% of his points from free throw. That's disgusting. This fucking what do they call it again? The rip through shit he always does.
Yeah. Yep. I hated that move.
Players who played within the years 2000 to 2013 and played at least 500 games, and players who averaged at least 19 points or more. Not only does this remove all variables that will be out of Kobe Bryant's control, while also excluding the tail end of certain players' careers like Karl Malone or the first couple of years of other players' careers like Damian Lillard. So, with those parameters set, what exactly is the standard of efficiency between the years of 2000 and 2013, or better known as the league average true shooting percentage? And that number is 53%. So, that's the magic number, and here is the graph. On the x-axis, we have the points per game average, and on the y-axis, we have the true shooting percentages. Again, 53% is the league average throughout this 14-year span, so that line will be bolded. And now, all the dots on the screen represent all of the volume scores throughout this time frame. Now, of course, on the screen, we have some familiar faces. All the way up here, we have Ray Allen, who was easily the most efficient perimeter-oriented player within this time frame. And right above him, we have both Amari Stoudemire and Shaquille O'Neal. So, for the people out there who were concerned about how true shooting percentage affects big men, well, both players not only did not shoot any threes, but Shaq is historically one of the worst free throw shooters in NBA history, and yet both of them have the highest true shooting percentages. Now, below league average, you have players such as Monte Ellis and Antoine Jameson. However, what really threw me by surprise was Tracy McGrady. However, when you take into consideration that McGrady
Not me. Not me. I remember him not being a great free throw shooter. That's why. Or it's like let me not say that. It's like
very average.
It's like Luka LeBron like free throw shooting. You know, like
Yeah,
you're too
yeah.
good of a player to shoot free throws that poorly, in my honest opinion.
Especially when there's a guy who's a shooter. Don't make no sense.
Yeah,
Never does.
yeah.
LeBron I kind of understand, cause maybe he shoot it too strong, but like, yeah, Tracy and Luca, why aren't y'all good? Y'all shoot. I don't get it, but funny guy.
Do you know which one's Kobe? Do you think you can guess? I don't know.
I would say it's one of these off to the left. Move to the left.
Mhm.
Go up. We'll say like this. Maybe one of those two in the middle, something like that.
Okay.
I want to say maybe.
Okay. They said he hold basketball content. You know, I'm just here. I'm just saying we're debunking the biggest lie told about Kobe Bryant's career, which is about him being inefficient.
Yeah, I might do like this stuff like this when I run a proper Twitch.
Let's get it.
was dealing with a lot of injuries, as well as him being a subpar free throw shooter, then I guess a true shooting
No excuses.
percentage of 52% somewhat makes sense. But we're not here for that, because we got to figure out where exactly is Kobe Bryant. Now, if you are someone who believes that Kobe was inefficient, then you probably believe that this dot here belongs to him. As not only is it someone—
I think I'm blocking the dot he's pointing at, but it's like behind my camera.
below league average in true shooting, but also
You know who this is? Do you know who this is? I was actually able to guess who this is. You know who this is?
Allen Iverson?
Yeah.
has a high volume in terms of his scoring prowess. However, you would be wrong. That dot doesn't belong to Kobe Bryant. That's actually Allen Iverson, who had a true shooting percentage of 51.8, which means that this dot here belongs to Kobe Bryant, who averaged 27.8 points per game in this time frame.
He's on to the left. I was kind of in the ballpark, though.
55.6%, which makes his true shooting percentage above league average. But more importantly, this does mean that Kobe Bryant is indeed an efficient volume scorer.
It's so weird with me and Kobe because I used to debate against him, but now I find myself defending him because they just be lying and disrespecting the man now. Me and Vince and Pat will say this. There's something about basketball discourse and the way they talk about their legends of the past. It's just a blatant sense of disrespect and lies and I don't know. It's very weird to me because
not good.
Yeah, it's just really
not
bad.
Good at all.
That's kind of why I care to do these tough stuff like this every once in a while, because I'm not here to tell you he's the best player ever or you have to like him, but I won't let you lie about it. If it's any famous person that I cared about growing up, it was him, and I won't let them lie about him. Because I always knew history wouldn't be kind to him, especially with the way that his last 3 years went. I could tell, because they were like that to AI too. People saying Ben Simmons' situation is similar to young Kobe's situation. What?
Y'all gotta stop reading stuff off the internet.
I don't even want to know.
Now, with that
Yeah,
myth being debunked,
y'all gotta
and while
start
I have
reading
your
stuff.
attention, there are a few other things that I want to just tackle just briefly. A, it is amazing to me that Kobe, who again has a true shooting percentage of 55.6, still consistently gets hit with the label of inefficient, but you have a player like D Wade, who has a true shooting percentage of 56.7%, or even LeBron, who had a true shooting percentage of 57.5% during his time frame, and yet no one claims that they are quote-unquote inefficient, despite the fact that their level of efficiency is relatively similar to Kobe's. But hey, I guess technically speaking, they're higher, so you might be able to make the argument, but what about KG or Tim?
Back when Dwayne Wade was cool, what happened? What I'm interested in is once LeBron retires, I do want that old man out of there. Will his perception change over time? I think he's different. I do think the way they talk about him, whatever the next up and coming GOAT, whoever we think it is, they'll. I could see myself having to defend LeBron when I'm a little up in a couple of years, honestly. People talking.
Hopefully, I won't. Hopefully, I won't have to. We got
That's-
5 million fans.
That's what I'm
He'll still be
saying.
alive.
That's what I'm saying, but I don't know because some Jordan fans speak like they're on the Jordan payroll, like the Nike payroll. Like if they talk bad about him, he'll take their Jordans. Actually, that's interesting. I have no idea what to think because I think I'm. This is really my first stint with dealing with the next generation of people in two sports that I like, soccer and basketball specifically, and hearing how they think and talk the game about players that I grew up watching. So I think maybe with the next wave, I'll know how to handle it better. Kobe's problem is that his ending hurt his stats and his Shaq situation. Because he's both called selfish and wanted to have him, but also discredit his chips with Shaq. He can't win. There's that too, but we know better. This last 3 years did hurt him, obviously. I don't defend it because at the end of the day, you lace up, you go out there, you think you're big and bad, and you're not old and decrepit. That's what happens. You shoot 37%, right? And I honestly resent the Shaq stuff because I'm like, Shaq would tell you himself, I could not have won that without Kobe. We were a 1-2 punch.
Also, people continue to talk about it like it was just Kobe was just the problem. They both were problems.
Yes.
Kobe just won. I guess you could say he won the argument because the Lakers kept him.
Yeah, and Shaq was up for a bit. Remember, he got his fourth ring in Miami with Wade before Kobe got his with the Lakers against Orlando and then the one against Boston, right? So, I don't know. I don't know if people disrespect Shaq. I just don't think a lot of those kids watch Shaq in his prime, so they have no idea how fucking fake he was. like I tell people this all the time who are like a little younger than me. You don't understand that a Shaq post up for a time was the best play in basketball. He just seals somebody off and you just give him the ball, and he gonna score, get fouled. That was literally like a very high efficient play. I don't think I disrespect Shaq, but I do have Hakeem over him overall. I do think Hakeem is a better all-time great. I'm sorry. I do. I really believe that. Hakeem Olajuwon was fake, bro. I think it was nice.
Duncan, both players have a true shooting percentage that is low.
So Duncan and Garnett have a lower thing than Kobe.
Lower than Kobe's, and again, no one doesn't claim that they are inefficient ball players. So, because of this, I dug a little deeper because there had to be some inkling of proof that Kobe Bryant was inefficient at scoring the basketball. I looked back on a year-to-year basis throughout the years 2000 and 2013, and no, still could not find a single year where Kobe Bryant had a true shooting that was below league average. Matter of fact, he has some seasons where his true shooting percentage is 3 to 4% higher than league average. Actually, the year in which he led the NBA averaging 31 points per game, he had a true shooting percentage of 58%, which is mind-blowing and should be even further proof that Kobe Bryant is not inefficient at all, but yet I kept digging. I then went to the playoff numbers and still no proof. Kobe Bryant's true shooting percentage just dipped by 1%. However, that is very common amongst many volume scores. But even with a 1% drop in his true shooting percentage, Kobe would still be above league average. Furthermore, when I dug even deeper into Kobe Bryant's playoff performances, I started to notice a very consistent pattern, and that is...
Oh, I forgot to say this. I don't remember. Did they have a playoff MVP award this year?
You mean the Western and Eastern
That's
Conference? You mean playoff overall?
That's what it was, right? They added some new
Yeah.
award. I actually believe that if that was around when Kobe was playing, he would have got some. Because you remember how crazy he was going in the West up until
I literally
the finals?
listened. I literally listened to a podcast about it.
Yeah. Because I've always said a lot of the times, 2 years, you can actually really make the case that he
Yeah,
was the
Kobe won like
playoff
3.
MVP.
Yeah, Kobe won like 3 of them
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, he was playoff MVP. But anytime they face the East, whatever centers that to go up with are so mega sorry that Shaq just looked like 800 times as great. Not that he didn't look great before. Anyways, I feel like I have to like say this because like I almost feel like I feel like it's my job to preserve my era of basketball at this point because. I have sat and seen some things where I'm like, I don't even like Steve Nash, and that's not true. I don't even like Paul Pierce, and that's not true. So yeah, this is the first year conference MVPs are a thing, but I'd go back and give some honorary ones maybe. I don't know. But yeah, this is almost done.
Kobe Bryant matched up against some of the most toughest defensive competition in league history. See, Kobe played in arguably the most defensive-oriented era in NBA history. Add on top of the fact that he played in the Western Conference, which was significantly tougher than the Eastern Conference, and it actually makes sense how consistently Kobe matched up against top 10 defenses in the NBA on a year-to-year basis. To put a number on it, again, between the years of 2000 and 2013, Kobe Bryant matched up against 36 teams in the playoffs. Out of those 36 teams,
I don't remember if it was you or Pat. I think we both said this. Part of the reason that I rate Hakeem so highly is because I think his 2 rings were very hard. And
yeah, you and me agreed on that.
Yeah, and Kobe won 2 of the hardest rings in terms of his pathway to the. I will admit that Orlando in 2009 was not as hard as all the other teams that he faced up until that point.
Well, part of the reason is because Orlando ran out of gas. If they were shooting how they were shooting before they got to the finals, that would have been a hard finals too.
I agree with that.
They just ran out.
But I actually kind of agree with this era being kind of the most defensive. Because, like, my problem with some of the older people, and I don't argue with them on this, like, they're like, oh, man, 80s and 90s was defensive because if you went up, they'd put you on your ass. I'm like, that's actually not good defense. If I keep beating you and you fucking drop kick me in the air, you're actually a shitty defender. you're just a fucking asshole, and you keep fouling me. And I said, if you actually could play defense really good today, when if you're fucking eyelashed, you blink too much, and the wind hits the player, you're gonna call for a foul. You are elite defender in this era, in my opinion. But in terms of just general defensiveness, I think the early 2000s to about 2010, 11, 12 was the most like defensive era that I've witnessed, personally speaking. I don't know. People discredit Hakeem's ring because of MJ dick riders act like MJ would have 100% won. We don't know that. But I'm not that kind of person who makes those excuses. I'll give you an explanation for a loss if I have to, but I won't make an excuse. So for me, I remember a lot of times Michael Jordan fans and like stans used to tell me that the Orlando shit didn't count until like I kind of did my own research and shit. I'm like, wait a minute. Why y'all discrediting? Like, you're just playing baseball? I'm like, nah. What do we always say? If you lace up and you step on the court, there's no what? No excuse. So he lost to Orlando, but to Penny and Shaq, I'm not hearing it. And I think what was their power forward again? I think he was there too. Shit. I don't remember the name right now, but he was there too. No modern defensive player does the hand in the face like Shane Battier or Bruce Bowen would. Bruce Bowen a dirty ass nigga. Hey man, if you ain't trying to cheat, you ain't trying to win.
28 of them had a top 10 defense or better, which means that over 75% of the time, Kobe was matching up against one of the top 10 defensive units in the NBA that year.
People say today's game is easier, but that's just offensively. They don't keep the same energy to get up defensive players today. Well, it's because not a lot of them are playing a lot of defense. And Vince and I have come to the term that your defensive scheme and team defense is more important than individual defense with the way that they screen and pick and pop and pick and roll so much these days. It's actually Difficult. I actually agree with you though. If you're like Kawhi and like Draymond and those type of players, I give extra credit to because I think it's very, very, very hard to be a elite defender in today's age. But I'm going to be honest with you. A player scoring 40 points in 2022 does not mean the same thing as a player scoring 40 points in 2003. It's not the same to me. It's way easier now. I'm sorry. Especially with somebody having like the ball in their hand all the time to make every single decision. You know what I'm saying?
To make things even more interesting, there was only one time in Kobe's entire postseason career where he had the privilege to match up against a team that had a bottom 10 defense. This matchup occurred in the 2010 Western Conference Finals, where the Lakers went up against a Phoenix Suns team that had the 23rd ranked defense in the NBA that season, and by the end of the series, you could argue Kobe had the best series of his entire career, averaging nearly 34 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and with a true shooting percentage of nearly 64%, which was roughly 12% higher than league average that season. Now, what exactly does all this mean? Well, let me put some numbers on it so you can get a better understanding of how impressive.
It's funny that players struggle to get that 30 points a game season average. I kind of agree. But there are some times where, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's much easier to get 30 points today, so don't impress me the same.
All of this is. During the years of 2000 and 2013, the league average defensive rating is 105.6. However, Kobe Bryant's competition in the playoffs on average had a defensive rating of 102.4. And remember, with defensive rating, the lower the number, the better, which means that Kobe Bryant's defensive competition in the playoffs had a defensive rating differential of negative 3.1. To put that into context, if we did the exact same thing for Michael Jordan, the league average throughout his years in the playoffs was 107.5, with his competition having a defensive rating of 105.3, which means that the defensive differential would be less than Kobe's. And if we did the exact same thing with LeBron, again, the defensive differential is not on par with Kobe Bryant's competition.
Okay, sorry. I think I'm blocking the bottom ones. It's minus 2.6 for LeBron. Minus 2.2 for Jordan and minus 3.2 for Kobe. To the defensive rating difference. So Kobe played against stronger defenses and stuff. LeBron technically, I guess, by the ratings, did too.
Meaning that Kobe Bryant had to match up against tougher defensive competition throughout his playoff career. So the fact that Kobe's shooting efficiency only dropped by 1%, despite the fact that he matched up against all-time great defensive units throughout his postseason career, is even more mind-blowing and should further dispel
I even think LeBron fans, for the most part, will admit that sorry-ass East was not moving.
No, they won't.
Oh, they won't?
No.
Oh, actually, I think I agree with you.
Narrative that Kobe Bryant was quote-unquote inefficient. So, with all of this time, research, and context implied into Kobe Bryant's career and the label of him being inefficient finally being debunked, you would believe that I would be content in the concept of debunking this whole Kobe Bryant is inefficient narrative. But I'm just not. I'm sorry, people. I don't understand how so many people can be wrong at this. There has to be some way that people are looking at this through a lens of Kobe Bryant being inefficient. So let's just remove all variables and blindly compare Kobe Bryant's true shooting percentage between the years 2000 and 2013, which again is 55.6%, to today's era of basketball, because that would be the only way possible that I can imagine that someone could confidently claim that Kobe Bryant is indeed inefficient. But even when I do that, there aren't that many years where that would be applicable to. I looked over several years over the course of the past decade, and honestly only came up with 3 years where Kobe Bryant's true shooting percentage would be below league average. Those 3 years are 2019, 2020, and the 2021 season. But that's literally it. So even if you are someone who wouldn't use relative true shooting percentage and just ignorantly compare Kobe Bryant across league history just willy-nilly, there's only 3 years in which you could claim that Kobe Bryant was an inefficient volume scorer. But if you do that, you're dumb. You are literally stripping away several layers of context that is needed for this complex conversation. Furthermore, after me and my team did the research for this video, shout out to Classy and No Layups, we all agreed that Kobe Bryant is not only efficient, but there are very legitimate arguments that back up the claim that he is one of the greatest scorers the league has ever seen. But if that is not a stance that you are willing to take, I beg you please, at bare minimum, stop calling Kobe Bryant inefficient, because it is easily one of the biggest lies I've heard being told about one of the all-time greats. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. And again, huge shout out to my research team of both class.
What do you think?
Good argument. I don't think it's Dick Ryden to agree with what he said. But then again, like I said, I don't feel like we really needed that argument. We already kind of felt that way. I thought he put it in numbers though. I'd probably have to look at it again though to see if I had any problems with anything he was saying or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. No, because I think there's certain players, for whatever reason, like I think some players are just really great at everything, and for whatever reason, you can I don't say you could tell their story with just numbers, but you can just look at a chart or look at some numbers and you'd be like, yo, this player was whatever, yada yada.
No, you can like we looked at Jordan stuff. You can literally just tell with just numbers.
Yeah, but with some players, I do think you need the context and the stories and to know how the
Yep.
league was and things of that nature. I really think you should do that with pretty much any all time great. You shouldn't remove that, but I do think he's because I'll never forget the first time I thought about this, like telling somebody's story kind of in totality, because you guys are you're from you guys. I don't know if you guys in the chat who are here. Thank you guys. I know it's a late random ass sports stream, but I appreciate y'all. Shit, Nick Wright. I don't like Nick Wright, and the reason why I don't like Nick Wright is because it bothers me when people are that intelligent and that disingenuous, because I know he knows better. That's my problem with him, personally speaking. I have issues with like pretty much any like analyst for other reasons, but with him, I don't think Nick Wright is a stupid man at all. But I remember one time he was having an argument with what's the guy who hosts the Herd's name again? The Herd?
Colin Cowherd.
Colin, right? And
Yeah.
he was and this is actually like a conversation that I'm willing to have, because if there's one lie I don't like that LeBron stands try to make, is that he's such a good scorer, but he's not even a scorer. He's a passer. I'm like, nigga, if you guys don't move that fake ass disingenuous argument from my face, LeBron has no problem sharing the ball. It's not an ego thing to him. Absolutely no issue with him. And he's one of the greatest passers we've ever seen. And that nigga is still a fucking scorer. Stop it. Right? So I don't like that. So to like kind of prove a point that LeBron was a better scorer, and at that time LeBron wasn't leading Kobe in scoring and things of that nature. And he did something so sneaky, because if you didn't catch it, his argument sounds brilliant. And he kind of compared their kind of formative first couple of years. And I'm like, Kobe didn't even start. He was already averaging 20 points by like second season, yada yada. I'm like, LeBron came into a broken franchise where he was immediately the savior and the primary decision maker, and really wanted him to be the primary.
Right. People, one thing they leave out of LeBron's thing is LeBron has always run a LeBron-centric offense. Mm-hmm. It's a heliocentric offense, even though we don't call it that, because LeBron's probably one of the only players in history that can get away with it because of his size, athleticism, all that. But LeBron basically runs a heliocentric offense. Give me shooters around me, give me the ball, and I decide if I'm going to score or pass. And for a lot of his career, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. But like you said, heliocentric offense, and it's like he makes all the decisions and stuff, and I'm like, to me, it's disingenuous, because the idea was like, oh, as far as young out of high school phenoms, he's better because look at this point he already had this many points. And I'm like, but Kobe played with Shaq.
Because think of just simple based off what Kobe ran. Now Kobe obviously averaged a lot of points, but even then, if you play in the structure of the triangle, it's still a structure or something where you don't have the ball in your hand all the time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to help you get points. As far as that, your job as the shooting guard a lot of times is just scoring or getting to your spot and doing stuff like that. So it can't be helpful for that. But like a heliocentric oven. I mean, look at what we talk about all the time. All these people scoring all these points from this, that, and the other, run up and down the court because they averaging having the ball in their hand 30% of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Wait,
Yeah, do
keep
your
going.
thing. Yeah, but yeah, like I just think it's like disingenuous to like leave out the story because you would be surprised to hear me say this, right? I do think LeBron's loss to Dallas is a blemish on him or whatever the hell you want to call it, but it's actually not the like finals loss that that he has that upsets me the most. And a lot of the general arguments you hear NBA talking heads make, I don't make these arguments because they're not mine and they're not necessarily. I don't necessarily think I believe them. So I'll give you a couple. Somebody would argue that LeBron is the goated because he keeps going to the finals, but someone will be like, "Well, Jordan was 6-0. When he goes there, he wins." And I'm like, my perspective is differently. If you didn't win, you lost. I don't care if you were 30th or second. You're a loser. So to me, I don't see as any better that you made it to the finals just to lose. You lost regardless. You didn't hold Larry O'Brien. That's just how I see it. So when people are like, so, anyways, all these one-man system players make me sick. Harden, Westbrook, Luka, stat merchants, absolutely. And then people go crazy for them because the reason that I give Steph the respect that he has is Steph can be high volume. Steph can dribble the air out of the ball, but Steph can also drop 30, 40 on you without really pounding the rock. He just runs around screens, catch and shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot. I think the hallmark of an extremely good player is to be able to play without the ball and with the ball. And I think it's a lost skill that some offensive players have. It's probably why I don't hold Damian Lillard in such high regard, and I don't think he's deserving of being top 75 players of all time. I don't. Especially not over fucking Dwight Howard and some other players. I like Dame. Don't get it twisted. I don't think Dame's a bad offensive player or anything, but I don't think he deserved that. I only get mad when people pretend like losing in the first round is better than losing in the finals. Listen, I don't know how many of you guys played sports. I have a very sports mentality. Maybe you're right, but to me, you lost regardless. I'm second place. I got the silver. Out of all the losers, you were the best one. Congratulations. Like, to me, you just lost regardless. So I don't really like to get into that minutia. But I hear you. Jordan was getting out the paint in the first round a lot of times. So, like, it's fair. But those, to me, are still pretty lazy comparisons, like, to try to compare the two. Because generally what I say with Jordan, why I think he's scary for a couple of reasons. But I'm like, I usually would ask somebody, like, do you know how hard it is to win an NBA championship? They're like, yeah, it's really hard. They're like, how? Then I'd be like, how hard do you think it is to win back-to-back? They're like, yo, like, almost impossible. And I'd be like, how about a three-peat? They're like, it's almost never been done. And I'm like, what if you did it 3 times in 8 years? That's generally my argument. You had the league in a fucking stranglehold. Yeah, you won 6 championships in 8 years? That's two three-peats? That's inhuman, bro. Because I don't know if people take this in. I think it sucks to lose enough NBA finals, especially if you go to like 6-7 games grueling, because you have to deal with the cons that the champions have to deal with without the championship. The good thing about losing earlier is that you get more time to ideally recuperate and rest your body. But if you keep going to the finals, especially winning and stuff, you're playing the most and maximum amount of games with the least amount of turnaround time. You feel what I'm saying? You think a three-peat is easy to do 2 times in a row? Those guys' body were probably decrepit and breaking down. And, Rodman was drinking and Thing was smoking his cigars. Like, you have to take that into consideration. Dame getting that spot was disgusting. I think my issue with that argument is that look at what Jordan faced in the first round. Oh no, I mean he was, the East wasn't weak back then. He was facing like Boston and shit. I don't like. You have to understand with me, I just kind of a W's a W. And I just hold everybody to a very similar standard. And if I'm not, I'll tell you why. Like, a loss is a loss. It is what it is. He just had to grow into a winner. But when he did, he was like the ultimate one. Different thing. W title. The Kobe inefficient narrative has been so bullshit. Agreed. Imagine if LeBron faced the Warriors in the first round. Oh shit! There you go. Now either way, you're a loser unless you won it. Doesn't matter when you lost it. That's how I see it, pretty much. With different squads, more or less, and no load management BS. Yeah, so that's why I want to. But that's part of the reason why I want to show you guys that video from Legend of Winning. I thought it was good because I know that like Kobe Bryant's my favorite player, and like I tell people, never had an idol or someone I looked up to. I don't care about celebrities or whatever. But if there's ever one that I did care about, it was Kobe, especially growing up. Like he was the one that I followed like that. And I just don't like the way they lie about him a lot of the times, and they don't tell his story properly, especially when they want to like the Jordan and LeBron comparisons and stuff, and he comes into the mix to prove something. Because another very lazy thing that they do with Kobe, this one to me is a little more understandable. I get it, but again, it's very lazy. Is they'll call him the second coming of Michael Jordan 2.0, MJ Light, and I'm like, if you really understand basketball and look at the minutia, Kobe and Jordan they had similar moves and move sets, sure, but they didn't play the same. We mentioned this earlier. Kobe would just take a hard shot. Kobe had so much supreme confidence, he would just lace it from like 50 feet. Jordan was a pick my spot and shoot from my spot type of person, but he would make hard shots. Kobe would take hard shots. If you don't watch how Jordan plays, he tends to not mess up the triangle offense unless it's like a frantic play or something happens. Kobe, you can score on him and he'll fuck up the triangle just to score back on you in a one-on-one isolation play. Like he used to destroy the triangle a lot more often. And if you kind of watch both players and you know the nuances of them, they don't actually play the same in that degree. And Kobe scores from literally any and all places on the court, and Jordan had his like hot spots. To put that achievement in perspective, only the '60s Celtics and '90s and '08 Lakers have won a three-peat. Exactly, the Bill Russell ones, then Bulls, and then it hasn't even been done since Shaq and Kobe. Actually, it's not easy to do. I want you. Do you guys know how hard it is to play an entire season of a sport with very little turnaround and have to go compete that hard again? It's not easy, bro. It's mileage, it's wear and tear on your legs. To be frank, MJ pushes that comparison too, so it's easy to just think he's just the same type of player as Jordan. I feel that. What's my favorite team? That's a good question. Depends what year you ask me. If you're asking me today, my favorite player in the league and favorite team is Memphis. I like John Morant. I liked him more than Zion when he was coming into the league. I thought they were trying to manufacture Zion into a superstar kind of thing, the LeBron whatever kind of thing. I don't like that. I like stars to just be made. I don't like when they try to like manufacture them. Like this guy is a star. It's like let him prove that with his play. So today I'll tell you it's the Grizzlies. I mess with John Morant, my favorite player. For a while I didn't have one, but prior to that, from about '08. When did Rose come in 07, '08? When did they take the Celtics to 7 games? With Kirk Heinrich,
Oh
Terrence
09, I
Davis,
think.
I think it was it '09, was it '09, '08, '09 or '09 or 7, '08? But the Bulls were my squad up until
Oh,
about
it's
2015.
like '09,
When did
but he
Rondo
came in the league '08.
when did
Pretty sure.
Rondo, Jimmy, and Wade were on the same team? I think it was, and then I think Rondo got hurt and they like came out like. I was probably a Bulls fan up until that point, and then I just didn't have a team anymore. But Derrick Rose got hurt the second time. Basketball died in my heart. What's my favorite team? '09? Okay, '09. Yeah. I don't like using the three-peat argument because there are teams that should have done it but got cucked because of injuries or what happened to the '80s Detroit. That's when Ben Gordon had the 40-piece playoff game, right? Yes, Ben Gordon was going crazy. Absolutely. That's when Tyrus Thomas, Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, Derrick Rose, and Joakim Noah. That's what I'm thinking of. There we go. Boom. But yeah, that's my favorite series of all time. By the way, you guys don't know that 7-game series. I guess that one easily. I felt I'm like this Rose kid is really nice. I think he came out of Memphis. I remember me and my boy Jerome were like, this guy's nice, bro. So I'll be honest, I don't know what to do with college prospects and how to analyze them. But if there was 2 that I liked, that I seem to have gotten right, it was Rose and John Morant. So I don't know. We'll see. Now in that time period, D Rose getting hurt, losing to LeBron winning rings. I was in pain, bro, cause I I remember I lost to LeBron on Cleveland and the Heat, and this pain, bro. Worst superstar archetype? What are those superstar archetypes? I don't like these new kids, and they're like, I'm whiny, I don't want to come, I don't know, I'm hurt, I don't know. I don't like the KD types, I guess. Could you describe archetypes? I like people who are cut from the cloth of like your Kobe's and stuff. They're just like I like Kawhi. Kawhi is kind of just like I'm here to hoop, do my job, and then I go home. You know, I like Kawhi. I like his demeanor. I don't mind players that don't need to talk a lot and want to lead by example. They don't bother me. And there's a timeline where LeBron, Wade, D Rose, and Noah were in the same squad. I remember when they said I remember people like if LeBron for the decision he goes to to the Bulls, you gonna go fan? I'm like, yes sir. I'll buy a LeBron jersey day one. Oh shoot. Hyper athletic guards, centers, scoring. Oh, big wings, playmaking, big wings. Okay, I get what you're saying. I like scoring guards, shooting guards, and wings, like your Kawhi type of wings. I want to say McGrady too. I wasn't a McGrady guy, but players like that. But Kawhi is the type of probably like current archetype of player that I really like. Strong, sturdy, efficient, picks his spot, good on defense. Unfortunately, that man's knee was like his knee got cast with bleed, so it's just depleting HP all the fucking time throughout the season. So I don't care for a hyper athletic. I mostly care if you know how to use it properly. So you know when to like change the pace and stuff like that. Because Westbrook has always been super athletic, but I don't think he uses it to the best of his ability. Because he's always going 100%. If you can kind of match it, and you know it. He doesn't really slow down and stuff like that. You know. So yeah. But great choice. My favorite player in the league is Jokic. It's Jokic, right? Jokic and Kawhi. Jokic, despite being a two MVP, is still underrated by the masses due to the way he plays, which is boring. I don't even agree. I don't think Jokic is a boring player. As much as I respect Tim Duncan, Tim Duncan was fucking boring to watch. But Jokic, I don't think is boring to watch, brother. I really don't. I don't. I find
Nah,
that
he's
NBA,
not. He does some
NBA's
crazy
weird.
shit that every time he does it, I'm just like, how did he?
NBA seems to be weird about certain players sometimes. Like I think Jokic is one of them. Giannis is one of them. You think because they're not American? Is that why? I don't know.
Yep,
I never
that's
knew why.
definitely part of it.
Okay.
That's definitely part of it.
Because they love Luca.
But they do. Well, no, I see the media and fans like Luka, and also his game is kind of more aesthetic. It fits that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like Giannis and Jokic, their game don't fit that way.
Fair enough.
Luka plays like like a quote unquote ball player, hooper.
Yeah.
But Giannis, they're like, oh, he played like a running back, and Jokic, they'd be like, oh, he's fat, and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Jokic is going to tell you about basketball fan. You're right. There's like one thing that we talk about is like I don't know what it is with basketball specifically, but the fandom and fan base is really bad, really dumb. They make really disingenuous, obtuse, awful arguments. They lie, they omit. Cause I'm a true believer, right? Let's just say, I'll be the LeBron fan for this. Let's say my favorite player is LeBron. I think he's the GOAT, and he thinks Jordan is the GOAT. I think if you truly believe a player is the GOAT, you put it all on the table: the good, the bad, the mediocre, and you still believe that their total resume is better than someone else. What I find a lot of them try to do is try to downplay something. Thank you for the follow. They'll downplay like, oh, he lost to Orlando, but he was playing baseball. Don't want to hear that. Oh. If you look at his stats and his like advanced analytics, like that loss to Dallas isn't that bad. I don't want to hear that. That's disingenuous to me. Be honest about it and just see how it compares. That's how I am. So hyper athletic wings can be easy to guard against. Yeah. I agree with that. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't think he's boring. His passing is unbelievably fun to watch, and his 1 foot shot. What do they call it? The samba shuffle or whatever. That's a really incredible shot, hard shot to make. And he shoots the ball really high. It's like a rainbow high arcing shot. Those switches be beautiful. I love watching Jokic. That man is a baseball genius. Luka feels American. I think I kind of agree. You talking shit. Giannis is top 1 for me right now. Who's your top 3 players in the league right now? I still think Giannis is the best player in the league. I would have been willing to give it to Tatum if they won and he got Finals MVP and played well throughout the entire playoffs. I'd have been willing to have the conversation, but I still think Giannis is the best player. Where I put second though? I don't know. Maybe Steph. What do you think, Vince?
It's Steph, Giannis, and
actually, you know what? Steph won. You can give it to Steph. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, true. He did win it, so either way.
Steph, Giannis, and
those
I would.
Two.
Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe Jokic. He won MVP. So.
How far are they going to playoffs
like
again? Second round or first round?
First. They lost to Golden State.
Sorry. I know they didn't have Kitchener's finest. Canada's greatest. You know what I'm saying? Jamal Murray, but can't give him that one.
LeBron didn't make the playoffs. KD got head kicked
I'm not
in.
to them too. I probably
Giannis,
I know Giannis and Steph for sure. I don't know who I put third. I want to say Kawhi, but he
Joel
didn't play.
Embiid in there. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, if Kawhi was healthy, that's probably who I'd have third. But
I think at his best, Kawhi is kind of the best player in the league in my opinion. You have Luka third. I don't have Luka third. I'm sorry. I don't know, but I admit that I'm weird about Luka and Zion. I don't know. Let me give me one more year.
No, Luka cool. Luka's in the top 5. Yeah. I don't know if I'm putting him above the man with 2 MVPs though.
Yeah. Tatum at 1 is insane. He never even had close to a case. I got 1. Yeah. No, well, I say it in the sense that like, what do they say? If you want to be the man, you have to beat the man. And if he was the best player on a winning team and took down like the Golden State Warriors and he was playing out of his mind, I hate the Celtics, by the way. I don't like any Celtic except Bill Russell. Larry's fine. I don't mind Larry, but like, I guess you could have said it because I still think it's probably Giannis. But if someone said Steph because he's the current leading, his team is the leading defending champions and he's the Finals MVP, I'm not mad at it. And I've always thought the Steph narrative of his defense was a little over embellished. I think he's a pretty, at least net negative defender, you would say. Like, he's neutral on defense, at the very least. I don't know if you think he's at least a slight positive at this point, but he wasn't as bad as they made him out to be defensively, especially now that he's stronger with a bigger frame. He can defend a little bit better. I got Jokic second. Fuck Steph. Why you mad at Steph, man? But yeah, I don't buy Luka yet. Fair enough. Yeah, Jokic is fine. I'll put Jokic third. Fine, it's fine. Seeing another year of Luka is crazy. Bro has a crazy average of 33, 9 and above efficiency above for the playoffs and the second best player. Well, first of all, was this his third or fourth year in the playoffs? In the league, fourth year, right? Nice talk, Vince. Third year. In the first 2 years, he played the Clippers, right? So this was his first year of kind of doing like a run, right? Now, when I say I did see more from Luka, I just want to see like, I've never called Luka a bad offensive player. He could play the game. He's very, very talented. He's a genius. I have 2 issues. One, the dick writing happened way too early. They've been meat writing too early. I can't deal with that. Secondly, what my second point with Luka? That's the second point. Oh, heliocentric offense. I think a lot of people get over-impressed by that. He's a phenomenally talented player. I really don't want to downplay this. But if you have the ball all the time and you make every decision, even if it makes sense because you're the smartest, best player, best ball handler with the best vision on your team, you are going to rack up points and assists especially. Yes, for the rebounds, you got to go in and get yourself, but he's like 6'8" or something like that. Like, it doesn't move me the same, personally. So when I say one more year, I tend to judge like star players really on their fourth year. So like I say, you have your rookie and sophomore year. I'm gonna hope for improvement, but I'm gonna give you like those 2 years to kind of get your NBA bearings. You're playing against grown men now. Third year, I do want to see a jump. Fourth year is the year I expect you. if we're on a trajectory to be like a superstar, all-star player, fourth year is the year where I really start to look at you like that. That's why I want that. That's why I was asking what year he was in. There's a time when Steph was a bad defender, and now he's okay. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. He had some weak ankles at one point. I think that makes sense to me. But again, also know that I'm like a early 2000s, early 90s, late 90s basketball watcher. I haven't watched as much basketball as I could have since about 2016, 2015, maybe that year when Steph was going crazy. Maybe the year that I think Golden State might have won that first time against Cleveland. That I haven't really been watching basketball that attentively because as the game has changed to be more three oriented and stuff like that, it hasn't resonated with me personally. I like to see big men banging in the post and fadeaway jump shots in mid range and long twos. I'm not knocking the players today because I do think on an average level they're much more talented, much more athletic, and players are generally more complete. Whether you're 6'1" or you're 7 foot, they tend to have a much more complete skill set. So instead of being like, you're the enforcer, you're the scorer, you're the passer, you're the rebounder, you have a bunch of players who can do a bunch of those things. So don't let me take that away from you. I'm not knocking the game in that sense, but it's not my NBA. So it doesn't move me the same, personally. It bothers me if I see a 1-on-3 fast break and the person has the ball in their hand and then two players go to the three-point line and none of them go to the hoop. I don't like that. I was taught to, you shoot a shot, you follow your rebound. You don't shoot unless there's a player under there, at least a center to grab a rebound. The game has changed. It's different. I'm not mad at it. It doesn't resonate with me all the time. So I tend to come around to playoffs or I watch like high-profile games. That's how I am. But I'm not one of those people who are like, the game sucks now. The NBA, no. I wish I played more defense, though. He averaged 35 with PG and Kawhi as the primary defenders. I don't know what else you need. He just needs help. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
that was not. They were not the primary defenders. Y'all got to stop. Y'all got to stop that, man.
Where'd you go? I was about to say. I need backup on this because this is the narrative.
Listen, all we asked from Luka was to first win a playoff series. Y'all were crowning this nigga when he didn't win anything. 2, Kawhi was not his primary defender. Because you check the stats, when Kawhi was a primary defender, he did okay, but he wasn't lighting the world on fire. He was cooking Patrick Beverly, Marcus Morris, and the rest of the Clippers team. He cooked the Clippers as a team. Respect. He was not cooking Kawhi. And PG, he has strength on PG. PG's a good defender, but he moves PG up and down, especially when he backs him down. Don't get me wrong, Luka's great. But y'all were crowning him when he didn't do anything. Didn't win anything, didn't have no MVPs, didn't have nothing. He's fine now, though. Salute.
Still shoots free throws like a fucking
bozo. Crowning people who ain't never won anything, that's not it. Yeah. Not cool.
He's going through.
We're just crowning people off gaudy stats. Then Zion averaged 32 points in the second year.
Yeah, I didn't
Should we crown him?
I didn't overhype LeBron when he went to the finals and lost to the Spurs. Though I didn't move me to the same degree. I went crazy,
at least
crazy against Detroit.
Had an MVP and stuff at that point.
Yeah. Like
LeBron has stuff on his resume, so if you wanted to start crowning him at that point, at least made a little bit more sense.
Again, I don't know. I'm okay with being the odd man with Luka though. I'm sorry. I want to see more. I do.
Oh man, I'm fine with Luka now. He finally did something. He beat a team that was superior to him, and he was his team, and he was the man. So I'm fine. That's all I wanted.
I can't believe the Suns did what they did. That shit was blowing me. But
that's all I was asking for him. Luka is really as good as you say he is. Win the series. That's the whole entire point. All-time greats have won series they're not supposed to win. They've all done it.
But I think people think that I think he's a bad player. I think that's the problem. I think the way that I come across, it makes it seem like I don't think he's good. I do think he's a good, and I specified this. He's a great offensive player. There was that one game. Remember what did kids say? You gotta want it. Defend. like they're going
like
after
I said,
Luka
I wanted to see him. Yeah. I want to see him play somebody that was not the Clippers.
Yeah.
Did that too.
there is a big luck factor in the NBA. You're totally correct. There's a huge luck factor. Don't get it twisted. That is a thing. How different is Kobe's career when he isn't drafted with Shaq? We have to also remember that Jerry West like finagled. he finagled. He snatched Kobe. He said, "Nah, I want this little nigga." But you're right. I argue that maybe Kobe Bryant's stats, if he was on a bad team, overall stuff would be just overall better. Maybe from a time. I don't know if he gets him many rings. I don't know, because he learned the taste of victory at around like 22.
Yeah, he might have 2 instead of 5 early. But even saying that with Shaq, but y'all got to realize too, Shaq also needed Kobe. How many rings did Shaq have without Kobe? One.
And he didn't play that well that finals. Well, Shaq to Shaq's caliber of play. I'm comparing Shaq to himself, not to but yeah, LeBron races 7 years in Cleveland with the zero ambition from owners. Same could happen to Luka. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not.
It's not nearly the same.
I really
to
don't.
same.
But I think I was it you who said this that I think the reason that Luka and LeBron get compared so much too is because they have a similar way of playing. Like they are the system. They don't play within a system.
Yeah,
they come and they are
the
the
heliocentric.
Yeah,
they're not the same. They're not the same though. Mark Cuban's a way better owner than Dan Gilbert is. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Cuban is by far a superior owner. It's not nearly the same thing. The problem is just that you have to have the assets to make big trades, or you got to attract people there. And even though Dallas is a pretty good city as far as living and income tax and stuff like that, basketball players don't get attracted to playing in Dallas. That's not a thing they want to do.
Fair enough.
But we'll see down the road if people want to team up with Luka. But that's an asset thing.
I think
different.
he'll easily get a ring before he retires. Like minimum one, and it might be like a Dirk type. I don't know, but we'll see. It's kind of funny how you say that because the game basically went in the full circle. And you know what? A lot of things that happened today are really not new. A lot of people think it's new, but what did they say? History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Even like going from really big clothing back to more fitted clothing, that shit happened already in like the 70s to 80s and shit. Like things go in circles. And a lot of people are like, oh yes, we're so sexually liberal. The sexual revolution was 30 years ago. Like things are not as new as you think. They might be in your face.
That's true. That's why they had hippies. That's why they had hippies.
Yeah. Like this. That's when we started to get like crazy STDs. And a lot of times they say we're not fucking as much as our parents. I see those articles all the time.
Yeah, it's just different though because we just have the internet changed the game.
Yeah.
You just see stuff more.
Yeah. They used to shoot long shots, and Wilt used to complain about 90s players because they had specific roles and weren't actively solid in everything. I'm crowning Jokic because he's a champion in my heart. I called it, by the way. Keep saying the Suns ain't it. Fair enough. Bro, he was in his third or second year playing against 2 top 75 players, and people want him to beat the Clippers with KP and THJ. Who's that? Who's THJ?
Oh, Jesus Christ. This argument's terrible, too. Especially the second time.
Has a second best players. No one has ever better start to their career as a playoff performer other than Kareem and MJ. Like, listen, I hear you. I understand you. I don't argue like this, though. Like, you know, I can't explain it. This is not the type of argument that's going to move or sway me. That might sway somebody else or some NBA talking head. I'm telling you, I need to see more, okay? It is what it is. You don't have to like it. I'm not going that far, bro. Like, oh, top 75, elite defender. I don't know about all that, all right? I think seeing him do one more playoff run where he doesn't have to face the Clippers and see how far he goes and stuff, and whatever team he has will tell me a lot. And I've always said this, too, because I think this is an important part about a player's medal. By the way, Luka has heart, by the way. Luka has heart. Luka talks shit. He raw. And he's stronger than he looks. I didn't realize how strong he was at one point. He's really strong. I need the field goal percentage to go up, and I just want to see him do another playoff run and see if he can get to that degree to get to that level again, Western Conference Finals type of thing.
Shit, he needs to stop. He needs to stop being out of shape at the beginning of the season. Be in shape, win the MVP like everybody thinks he's gonna win, and he should win, to be honest, because he's that great of a player. He should win the MVP, especially when he's gonna have the ball in his hands all the time. He should win the MVP and go back to the Western Conference Finals.
That as far as like. Hasn't he been playing against grown men for a while? Like he's been a professional.
Yeah, he's been playing since he was like 15, 16.
And I know the NBA has some different rule sets and sets and how they play and stuff, but it's like I think that matters because I'm gonna use myself as like a lower level example. I've always played with people a lot older than me and a lot more physically tougher than I was. And the first rep team that I was on was an under 15 rep soccer team, but I was 12, right? So with that in mind, when I started to actually play against people who were around my age and stuff like that, it was really easy for me. As a matter of fact, I'd argue that I had felt way superior to them because I was like 12 playing with niggas who were 20. You feel what I'm saying? Your level of confidence and preparedness is different. But then again, you can make. I think that's why I like to talk about, like, I think they said Jordan wasn't ready to be who he was. He needed those college years too, and he came in a little older. Like, I like taking the full context too. I want the anything. But again, for all I know, Luka averages 40, 10, and 10 next year. MVP, shoots 88% from the free throw line and wins with a menial team, and I look stupid today. And you can come back and be like, ha, idiot, dumb, and I'll eat it. One thing about me is, do I run from the smoke when I'm wrong? Or do I just take it like a man every time? Take it like a man, bro. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll look at you and be like, I was wrong, nigga. I'm sorry. You want to talk shit? I live and die by the shit talk. I've been doing this for years, okay? When Rose got hurt against Philly, my BBM group roasted me for months. For months. After the season, they kept roasting me, okay? Now, you know why I said that? I won't lie to you. I kind of went up Brandon Roy's knees. I deserved it, okay? That's what happened. That's all I'm saying. It is what it is. You live and you die by the shit talk, bro. And I'm here for it. But I have way more problems than I do. What's up, Mickey? That I have with Zion than I have with Luka though. Zion's the one that
I would love to see Luka versus Ja though in the playoff series.
Be interesting. You know I'm a John Morant guy.
Well, right now I think the Grizzlies are a better team.
My 5 current favorite players: John Morant, Kawhi Leonard. Now I gotta think.
Do you even have 5?
You want to go now? I gotta think now.
I would say I don't think you got 5.
I gotta think. Who's from the league?
Okay, I mean I could do mine. Kawhi, Giannis, Steph.
Okay, Giannis a third. Clay play fourth for me maybe, but Clay.
Okay. Let me see. 4 for me. That's kind of tough. I mean, I do like the insane man. I'm not gonna.
Jimmy Butler.
I love Kyrie Irving, even
Butler.
though he's an awful person, but I love Kyrie Irving, the basketball player.
Yeah, I feel that.
He does incredible things.
I don't know if he's an awful person, but I definitely think he's.
I just mean, he's not actually
just
awful.
Unserious.
He's just mega unserious. He's not really awful. He's actually a pretty decent guy, but it's just that's not a guy I would want to deal with on a regular. But Kyrie Irving, and then 5th, maybe Embiid. To be honest, I like Embiid a lot. I just wish he stopped getting sick and hurting his hand and every other part of his body.
KNK 2002. I could admit that that's probably playing into it. When fans of a certain player crown someone way too early and do the most and overhype, it makes me like, now you gotta really prove yourself. I won't lie to you. That's I'm like that. LeBron fans infuriate. I know LeBron's great, but they infuriate me because they just lie and cap and overhype everything he does. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So you saying yay or nay, or just undecided? I want to see more of his career. Off troubles are disappointed. Ooh, are you talking about who? Luka? Luka's off season or Zion to stay in shape? I'm not sure what we're talking about for a second. I lost the plot. Luka could just be a better version of Oscar if he came athletic. Giannis. Or Reese Robertson. Kawhi, Giannis, Jokic, and KD when he takes L's. I think he's immature, not a bad person. Yeah. So let me repeat mine. So I'll go. John Morant, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Klay Thompson. Did I say Giannis already?
Nope, I don't think so.
And Giannis 5th. Those are probably my favorite players in the league. But the stars of today don't resonate with me the same way the other ones used to. Because I used to be like a D Rose, Joakim Noah.
Well, because they don't stick. Part of the problem is they don't stick with one franchise. A lot of these guys makes it hard to connect to them.
There's that too. And obviously, Jimmy used to be a Bull, so anyone who used to be a Bull at some point, I always have a lot of love for. It's just how I am for the most part. You know, except Rondo, because Rondo used to be a Celtic.
But he better stop playing with Rondo. He almost won y'all that playoff series.
Are you asking me if I'm undecided? When I say undecided, I don't know. What are you trying to figure out? What do you need to know about my Luka opinion? Because I feel like I said he's a superstar and he's a great player.
Is this Addy or something? There's a lot of Luka.
Like what are we saying?
This feels like a Addy centric thing.
1 second, my computer's dying. Yes, Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy, bro. My favorite player of all time is AI. As a kid, he was an inspiration. I feel that. My favorite player of all time is Kobe. I'm a Kobe guy. But yeah, the one that I need to see really do something, improve something to me is Zion, because I'm tired of everyone telling me he's the best of that class. It's John Morant. But even John Morant has a lot to show me, bro. This is his fourth year coming, right? This would be his fourth or third year, actually. This year, I'm gonna be pretty hard on him. He's got to show me something this year. Especially, he needs to get a midi or something, bro. I need to start seeing some jump shots. He got a lot to show me this year. I keep the same energy, bro, with any player. The person I'm not sold on his jaw. I think that's fair. I mean, like, I think he's done enough to show that, yes, he's the guy, leader of the team, blah, blah. I think he has the intangibles, but I do think he needs to develop a reliable jump shot. And I don't think it needs to be a 3-pointer first. It needs to be a little midi. He has that fucking floater he likes. That, like, in the middle floater. He likes that. But I want a traditional, like, stop on a dime. Hey. Wham. That's what I want. I want him to start hitting those. So hopefully I get that too. Because I remember when Rose started to finally take his mad athletic ass jumpers, jumping mad high and shit. So yeah, but I think that's fair. I'm not mad at that criticism. I think he has a lot. I think he has to show some more stuff. And how far? What's the first he got? Second round, right? He lost second round 2 times in a row and stuff. I think. I know he fought his way into a play-in. I think. They
lost first round. He's only been a second round.
Second round, okay.
They lost to Utah 2 years ago, and they lost to Golden State last year.
What's going on with Utah? Is Mitchell's shit still there? Because didn't Gobert get traded?
Yep. They're trying to trade Mitchell, but they want a bunch of picks. Danny Ainge is the GM. I told you that.
What's going on in Utah? What's Windy? What is going on?
Yeah.
The whole time, like, is this a racist shit? Like, what does she want to say? Oh, shit. He's in the hyper athletic guard archetype. They used to have a shooting weakness. I 100% agree. My problem with him is the shooting, like you were saying in the Minnesota series, he couldn't do shit outside the paint. Other problem with him is he's really bad at defense, even though he has the measurables to be a good defender. I think I can agree with that. I think the problem with him is he seems to get lost in the scramble of a good, like, offensive, like, scheme. He seems to get lost to me because players like him, like, he has a pretty decent wingspan, if I remember correctly, and he's athletic. So as long as he cares about defense and fights through screens and shit, he should be at least a slightly positive.
An average.
He doesn't get away with that shit from me either. I hold him to that because I think he's as good as anybody could be. So I need him to be better. But the thing I want to see from him first is that midi, bro. But I hear you. Ja doesn't move much. Doesn't move me. He'd be doing too much. And clears. I don't like Anthony Edwards. I love Westbrook and Rose. Yeah, but Rose is the GOAT. Oh my god! I just wish he didn't get hurt like that, so no one understands.
Rose was incredibly efficient from 2
Yeah.
when he was actually healthy. He couldn't shoot a 3, but almost none of those guys can.
No. But he's preserved his career in a way I didn't think was possible, all things considered.
Well, he changed it in such a way that got to give him a lot of credit. That's
I
hard
don't
to
think
do.
Ant's a bad player. I don't like Ant's attitude and demeanor. One thing about me, you might find a little bit in common with the players that I like. They have a certain level of professionalism that I like.
Oh, you just don't like that he act like that.
Like Cardi B, like he's just a coon. I don't like that. But again, he's a kid. He's young. I'm not gonna knock him for that because he's young. I was a coon at 19, 20. I was a coon, bro. So like, I get it, but there's some players come in and they're like more fake professional. I don't know. He be doing a lot, but. He didn't he play better than Cat in the playoffs? I feel like he played better than that. I don't remember though.
Better than
40 from 3 that series I think, right? Some crazy.
Yeah, he wasn't aggressive enough, but yeah, you could argue he's probably the best player on the Timberwolves. And he should be if everybody thinks what he is gonna be because he's 6'5", strong, fast, can shoot. He should be great. That's why everybody had a lot of expectations for him next season too. That's why they made the Rudy Gobert trade. Because if they think he's going to be as good as they think he is, then that's going to be for real.
I feel it. Who do I want to be the next champion? Memphis. Okay, honest, like low, like obviously Memphis because Ja's my guy. I don't see them and stuff like that. But I want Kawhi to get one more.
The West is loaded again.
I want Kawhi to get one
it's
more
going to
ring.
be crazy.
I want Kawhi to get 3 rings. I want him to get one more.
Well, he got a chance next year if he's healthy because the Clippers roster is for real.
I want Kawhi. And like this might sound crazy to other people, because I like Paul George actually. I've never disliked him. I'm not a Paul George fan, but I remember Indy Paul George and all them shits. Like I
loved Paul George in Indiana.
And then OKC,
I didn't like Paul George when he went. Yeah,
I really thought that one year he was on track to really get that MVP that one regular season. Honestly,
yeah, he was. He was incredible.
He was going crazy, but I would like Paul George to get a ring. I would like to see him get one, but I want Kawhi to get 3. So
my problem with PG, he don't know how to be quiet, bro. Just say crazy stuff.
Yeah, he just be talking. He just be
yeah.
He's one of the guys.
And every time he talk, he just one of those unfortunate ones that he get burned for. Every time he say,
yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah,
he can't talk crazy and win. Unfortunately for him, some people they can talk crazy, get away with it, and back it up. Like Patrick Beverly, for example, he don't always lose when he talk crazy. Sometimes he do, but sometimes he win. Paul George don't win when he talk crazy. Just unfortunate. You just don't get no comeuppance.
The Nuggets or the Bucks win. I'm okay with the Bucks winning again because Giannis. His resume is pretty incredible for as young as he is, all things considered. So I'm okay with that. As long as Kitchener's Finance is playing, do we know if? Sorry, I haven't followed the injury stuff. Is Jamal Murray is he good? Is he gonna be back this season?
He'll probably be back, but I don't know. He's probably gonna take. You know how ACLs and all that work. They don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
I don't know if Denver has the defense. That's the problem. Like the Clippers have a better coach now. Golden State's still a problem.
Yep.
There's a whole bunch of things.
You scared of the Lakers?
No, stink.
What if Street Clothes go crazy? Comeback year, revenge tour.
Even then, I still don't think they have. Man, go look at that roster. After the first 3, you know what? I'll read it to you and tell me why anybody should be afraid of this.
Okay, go ahead. The MJ memes in that series was hilarious. I think the Clippers win it. That team is damn loaded, legit 12 deep. Who's the coach right now for the Clippers?
Ty Lue.
Oh shit, yeah.
Who's way better than Doc Rivers? Who's way better than Doc Rivers?
I'm like, where did Doc go again? Oh, Philly.
Yeah,
a good coach too.
Terrible.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead.
Hold on, I had to chase from what it was. I was on Yahoo. Yuck.
Westbrook's still
Anyway.
there, huh? Yikes.
All right. Is this the old one? No, give me the current. Oh no, okay. I guess this is the current roster. Okay. All right. Let me read you the roster. Outside Anthony Davis, LeBron. You already know that. And Russell. Austin Reeves. Right. Juan Toscano Anderson. Right. Taylor Horton Tucker. Sure.
Hold on.
Wayne Ellington.
Don't they like that nigga?
He stinks. He's a bum. Anyway, like a 36-year-old Dwight Howard. Okay. DJ Augustine. Okay. A 38-year-old Carmelo. Okay. Kent Bazemore. Avery Bradley. Like, come on, man. Like, give me a break. This fucking roster is a joke, man. It would take LeBron and
Go
AD
James, go James.
They would have to be playing on a fucking ethereal level. Like they'd have to surpass their final forms and do some Super Saiyan level shit. Give me a break. They can make the playoffs, I guess, with that roster, but they're not winning nothing with that.
They said that's last year because Mel didn't resign. I didn't know that.
It's still most of this. Not last year's roster. This still most of the roster though.
Oh, where's Melo?
Because Lonnie Walker wasn't on their team last year. He on there now. I know because Lonnie Walker was on the Spurs. Maybe Melo's not on there. Well, tell the Lakers to update their website. Don't blame me. Blame the Lakers website. That roster fucking stinks though, man.
What's Portland doing?
Their team got better. They'll probably make it back to the playoffs if Dame is healthy. Or at least fight for the spot. I can't see them being higher than anything they have been, though. They're still fighting for that 6 through 8 spot, kinda. But they made some trades. They made some shit shake.
I'm trying to think who else might not know about that. I hope Miami goes hard this year.
Miami's kind of one of those things that I don't know what's good with them because they relying on a bunch of old dudes, man. To be honest.
Thoughts on
Kyle
Dame?
Lowry
I'm
is
glad you
a
asked.
year older.
I'm glad you asked. I don't know. I think my take on Dame Lillard is realistic. Incredible player. I actually think he raps good. I like his music. I think he's great. I like his attitude, I like his demeanor, I like his mentality about certain things. I like the loyalty that he has to Portland and stuff. I think that's really cool and stuff like that. I do not think he deserves top 75 of all time. Sorry. Dwight Howard should have got in there before he did. Even thought about getting in there. Can't give him that. And I do think that Damian Lillard, because he has 2 buzzer beater playoff walk off game winners, I actually think that it's bolstered his mystique a little more than it really is. Kind of reminds me of, I think earlier we said Doc Rivers is kind of stinky. I think he kind of rides off the laurels of his one ring with Boston, and I think they underachieved. All
He
things
does.
considered.
He stinks.
I don't think he should be coaching. I don't think he's a good coach. I think people like him, but sure, I don't know. So
he's an okay coach, but he's proven over the past, I don't know, since he left the Celtics that, yeah, man, nah, he's not the guy.
So with me with Dame, I say he's overrated in the sense that I don't. Not that he's a superstar. He's an incredible distance from 3, great 3-point shooter, all of that. Never was better than Steph as a 3-point shooter. I don't know why that came up, but anyways, he gets more credit than he deserves, in my honest opinion.
His last playoff run was his best one by far.
Wasn't there a game there's that one game he had a crazy game score because he hit 15 threes?
Yeah, he had 50. He had 55 and lost in overtime or something like that.
Yeah.
But his last playoffs was his best playoffs. It wasn't even close.
His clutch points with 5 minutes, whatever. He's the best going on a couple of years, something like that. He's not a bad player by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he has some issues. I think if he moved more like Steph and caught and shoot more, instead of just kind of pounding the rock, I think his teammates would be and his team would be a lot better for it, a lot more movement. He doesn't really move without the ball, and I have seen niggas put him in Rikers, as Pat would say. The series against AD and Holiday.
Drew Holiday and Rondo was very disgusting work.
And I've seen him get swept too many times in the playoffs for my liking.
that
But
series when
Damian
he's up
Lillard
against Golden State,
is
when
nice,
he's
bro.
up double digits almost every game, and somehow found a way to lose all of them. Also, he played the Golden State Warriors 1 year without Steph Curry, and Steph Curry was injured. I don't think he came back to the end of that series. Lost them games too.
If I could get American
Yeah.
citizenship, become president, I'm doing two things first. I'm taking away one of Steve Nash's MVP, and I'm removing Damian Lillard from the top 75 NBA players of all time, and I'm putting Dwight Howard over him. Those are the most two important things. Like, what's your first order? Inflation? This or that? No. I just walk to NBA headquarters and demand these things be changed. That's what I'm doing.
I actually saw a really good argument on Steve Nash's one of those. Because he won one of those without Stoudemire, right?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
My point was never that he wasn't playing well. I just thought the other players, what they were doing to me was more impressive.
Well, his thing is that even for as well he was playing, he only averaged like 17 points. Like my guy, like even for me, and I like Steve Nash. I think I like Steve Nash more than most people. But I'm not gonna lie, it does look pretty stinky when he only averaged. I'm like, my guy, you couldn't even do the 20 and 10, my guy.
Was he 50,
You
40,
averaging
90
like
those
18.
years though? I think he might have been. I don't remember. If
Yeah. But my thing is, but you still got to average more than that.
There was one year I swear he did it with like 15 points, but I look at it again. It's been a while since I looked at it, but I'm sorry that you know how strongly I feel with that one year.
He averaged one of them because he averaged double-digit assists, so that's cool. We love that. But yeah, I'm looking at like 2005, 2006, 18, 2006, 2007, 18. My guy, I need 20. Give me 20 and 10. I won't say nothing. 18, shoot the ball more. Like I said, I think he won one of those because all his teammates had career highs, or everybody that was like starting or whatever. And and also, like I said, back then they used to care about if you got like the first seed.
Yeah,
that's why I said people
their
act like that.
criteria
They
was
used to not be a thing. They used to matter.
Because you know how I've always said, it's not that Kobe was undeserving the year that he got it. I always felt like he got it that year because they just know they owed him one. But he wasn't a winning team in the West, and he was one of the best players in the league. So I think Kobe was the best player until LeBron won his first ring, personally speaking. Well, from like the 2000s and like beyond.
Kobe was
when he exploded. I'm not saying you couldn't say 1 year like I'm gonna give it to Wade because Wade won it, blah blah blah. Like a totality standpoint, to me he was the best.
At least from I kind of having the best player at least from like 2005 to 2010, something like that.
I like to go by decades, and I think the 10-year decade from pretty much 2000 to 2010 is his decade. The way that I think the 90s are Jordans, and then the 2010s maybe are LeBron or something like that. That's kind of
yeah. It's 2010 definitely
some
LeBron.
people give it to LeBron. Well, some people just give it to LeBron like the moment he stepped foot. Okay, yeah, you got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were wilding with that. Some people saying he's been like the best player since like 07. I'm like, y'all are wild.
That's still too early for me. For me, it's the year he won his first ring. Then
that's
I'm like,
2011, 2012.
Because all the bitching and whining I did about LeBron stopped in Miami when he won his first ring. Everyone looked at me. They're like, "Was you?"
See, I say 2010 because he won two MVPs in a row.
Exactly. My friends were looking at me. And I'm like, I have nothing to say. Great. I just clapped. I said, "There, you got it. You did it. There you go." About damn time. Like he said himself. You know. And that's just me though. But I understand that in all aspects of life, I'm pretty harsh. I'm pretty harsh.
I don't think there's nothing harsh about you thinking the best player in the world is the guy who was in back-to-back finals and won two of them than the guy who won an MVP in one of those years, but he lost in like the second round. Not to say that he wasn't great, but that's just the truth. He just like, because like the thing, they don't do that with Jokic. Jokic won back-to-back MVPs, but nobody be like, oh, Jokic the best player. Which he should be if you're saying the MVP is the best player in the league, right? And he just won two of them in a row, right? Why does nobody say he's the best player? See, things switch depending on what player you're talking about. LeBron the best player because he won back-to-back MVPs, or he won MVP in 09, so he's been the best player since then. That's never how it's worked. It's never how it's worked.
Those awards are just narrative awards half the time. I've literally heard them say that. Like, it's more about the narrative. I'm like, what? Who's the best? Who's the most valuable stuff? I don't
see. Well, here, like I said, here's my thing.
Didn't you?
To me,
what year was it?
people have always.
Someone didn't get. I think John Morant was like almost unanimous, like rookie of the year or something, and he like called up the one guy who gave it to like, I can't remember. It was some his reasoning.
Oh, that's like 2 years ago or
was
something.
Something like,
it's silly.
because
It's silly.
Zion got a shoe deal, and I'm like, you let these niggas vote? Like,
No, that's the problem. People like that should never be allowed to vote.
Actually, a fucking joke, bro. Are you kidding me?
People like that should never be allowed to vote again. That's the problem. Some of that's it's when
like
some of those people
Beverly is like defensive player of the year. I think the year Giannis. I'm just like they're not watching the game, bro. I can't with that shit. It's very disrespectful in my opinion. But yeah. I think LeBron was the best from 09. I see how people would say Kobe, but overall basketball player, I think LeBron was better. I don't think LeBron is even still a better overall basketball player than Kobe.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You see how that works? He was a better overall basketball player. So from 09, he was the best.
All-time great. But
see, I guess for me, I never understand how that works in basketball because people tend to apply who is better overall when it comes to that stuff. They pick and choose when that matters. Because Jordan wasn't the best rebounder or best passer. There are people in there who probably did everything at a great level. And Jordan did one thing at a transcendent level, or two things. Mm-hmm. So how does that? I don't ever understand that because this guy can do more things that necessarily makes him a better basketball player. I don't think that's necessarily how it works in my eyes.
I agree.
You know, you could do more things. That doesn't necessarily mean you're better than me.
I think just like you have to kind of explain your entire point like fully with all the context because, yeah, because like, what have we always said about Giannis? Like, I think Giannis is a great example of this. He has no bag. He's bagless. So what? Stop him. Can't stop him. Nigga, he doesn't need a bag to be better than you. You know, I could be really great at, threes, twos, and layups, and Vince is phenomenal at threes, and because he's actually phenomenal at that, he's better than me because he's doing shit on the perimeter, hitting threes, and doing stuff that I could never dream about doing. He's probably better than me. I think the context is matters. You have to think with it. But I actually don't think that LeBron's a better complete basketball player than Kobe. I think he's a better all-time great with better accolades and stuff like that. That's just me, though.
Yeah, to me, that's LeBron's argument for being the GOAT. His longevity is the best.
No one's saying Bron's is better because of some shit like rebounding. Well, we're not talking about you guys in the chat today because none of you guys some of you guys I don't know like that. We're talking about some of the like you'd be surprised what kind of egregious arguments I've heard some people make in LeBron's favor. Not even just against Kobe, just like in general. Like against Jordan, against Paul Pierce, all kind of stuff. They just say some stuff to me that I think is just really like, are you pressed or like do you believe this? Like, am I pressing you or like it's a serious take? So I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, basketball Discord, I don't really care about. That's a cook sport.
Yeah,
honestly, they don't care about their legends. They disrespect everything. There's like really no point.
Everyone's
like if you stand one individual player, he's been the best player since he walked into the league. Like I don't even stand any individual player because if you stand individual player, you think they're God's favorite from the moment they walked into the league. They were automatically the best player who ever lived. So I can't do that.
If you're asking him, Kobe is my favorite basketball player ever. Yes, I do not think Kobe is the GOAT. If that's what you're asking me, I think the GOAT is Jordan. And that conversation has always been easy for me to have, the LeBron and Jordan thing, because I don't like any player like that. Like, neither LeBron nor Jordan are amongst my favorite all-time players. Like, not even top 10. Neither one of them are.
Me either. So. Well, maybe Jordan in my top 10, but not my first, not my second or third either.
LeBron though. Like, I like him more than LeBron, but no, my favorite player was Kobe. It's Kobe. Then probably Derrick Rose.
I don't even like Kobe, and he's one of my favorite players. He's a direct enemy. But I just really respected him.
Yeah. And with some players, it doesn't always come from their literal game on the court, though that should be the most important thing sometimes, but just the way they carry themselves, demeanor, the mentality they have, and things of that nature. So, if you can weigh it all, give each basketball skill a percentage. Obviously, if a player has a huge weakness, that can be exploited, and that affects it. I think that makes sense. That makes sense to me. I hear you. But all these players are great. But I will say this though, I guess my
Basketball is my problem is basketball is such a nuanced sport with so many rule changes. You play in different eras. You're not allowed to do this. You train up this way. You play in certain offensive and defensive systems. You're asked to do different things. You can't necessarily just say people are more skilled in this and that and the other. Especially when we talk about obviously, yes, there is some things that one's do better than the other, but also some things that just changed. Like the years where Jordan was averaging like 10 assists, but he wasn't winning nothing. So he stopped averaging 10 assists. Like that type of stuff happens. Yeah, there was a year in the league where in 88, 89, Jordan averaged 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 32 points.
I was
So he could rebound
and I
and he
was
could pass,
and I
but he
was
wasn't winning nothing.
and I was gonna say this. There was a point when the league didn't have a 3-point line. You know, like I do think these things matter when you're comparing players and eras. I don't know. I mean,
And also, I really think every
I'm not
basketball
as
fan should
obsessed.
watch that video. Watch that video about the rule changes in the league.
Yeah, that's
For
that
every
was good.
single person should watch that video so we can stop having these idiotic conversations.
Yeah.
Do you know what half the league would look like if they had to play in the 60s and 70s? Yes, obviously, on an average basis, the league is way more talented because of AAU and a whole bunch of other stuff. They just have more advantages.
Mm-hmm.
The basketball's just evolved. That's just natural. But at the same time, do you know how many of these guys would be in trouble for just basic stuff like travels and carries and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when everybody always laughs at people dribbling the ball with one hand, they damn near had to do that to some degree because the rules were so bad as far as just like what you could and could not do. And also all this offensive players jumping into defensive players and getting fouls. You couldn't do that in the 60s and 70s. You did that,
That was an
you got an
offensive
offensive
foul.
foul.
Yeah. That was an offensive
Even
foul.
if you just ran into a defensive player. If he got into your line of sight and he was backing up and you ran to him, they call a foul on you. The rules are so different.
Agreed. There's a lot of stuff you have to consider. It is a pretty difficult sport to talk about and compare in a lot of ways, but I think that any great player would be great in any era, though. I don't know if they'd be as
Yep.
great, but I think if you put Jordan today, he'd be great. If you take KD, you plop him there, he'd be great. Like I truly believe that all these players would be great in any era. I don't like to do the thing where it's like if you put them in this era, it's so physically
You
tough.
literally, you literally can't. You
I'm
literally
like, nigga,
can't. Because
they
it's
would not know what to do
impossible.
with Steph out there shooting from a half fucking court. They'd be confused. They'd be like, bro, what is happening? I'm trying to hear that. That's just me, though. Jerry would be better today. There's some players that would be better today. Teammates are different. Opponents are different. Obviously, my biggest problem with basketball discourse is the hezzy tween lovers who overrate guys like Kyrie, KD, and Melo. I think Kyrie and KD and Melo are all really good players, but I hear you.
KD's great. KD's top 20.
Yeah.
Kyrie, yeah, that's the thing. But see, the problem.
But
The problem
Kyrie's
is
a
with
good
Kyrie
scorer
though.
still.
No. The thing, yeah, the thing with Kyrie though is that
He's unserious.
it's not just fans. Some of the fans that think that players love Kyrie, the basketball player. A lot of people have legitimately said they think Kyrie Irving is the most skilled basketball player of all time. Like actual players think that.
Mm-hmm.
You could disagree with them, but that's what I'm saying. This is why I also hate that argument of just, oh, look what this player said, because you picking and choosing when you agree with players and when their opinion matters. Oh, this all-time great said this had matter, but that all-time great also said Kyrie Irving the most skilled player of all time. And then y'all go say to be like, oh, he's not more skilled than LeBron, not more skilled than Kobe, but you said that all-time great opinion matter. Why you can't be doing that? At the end of the day, you got to form your own opinions and believe what you believe. I just think there should be a process to doing that.
I hear it. It says I'm arguing because you got to change their whole childhood so they have an advantage of growing up in that era of basketball. You can't just take 26-year-old players and throw them in another era. It's disingenuous. People don't take into account things like off-ball defense, help defense, hustle, passing are all skills. I agree with that. Some players
Yep,
are
100%. I was gonna break that point earlier.
Yeah. Because some things just don't appear in the stat sheet. Like, how, what is the percentage of chemistry between these two players? Are not something you can really quantify. That's just human nature and human emotion and human stuff. Coming into the sport and everything. So it's difficult. It's hard, but I don't know. It's this is a sport that becomes increasingly more difficult for me to speak about by the year. I would argue because I think the fan bases become a little more rabid and polarized. But we'll see. I'll do my best. I just, I like the game.
Football out.
I mean, a lot. This and soccer are the two sports that I like. So But But I'll be honest. I don't be watching sports nearly as much as I used to. I'm cooked food, as you would say.
American football out.
I like real football.
That's fine. But American football out. Real rivalry.
But if you guys are I actually like just like I don't know if you guys actually I am looking for a couple of basketball channels to watch. If there's anybody you guys kind of like in here, you can let me know. But my recommendation is Thinking Basketball. I like them a lot. Thinking Basketball is a really good channel. I appreciate the work they do. They're still a little bit of stat nerds. They like stats a little too much for my liking, but I still think they tend to contextualize things well, give you history, statistics, precedents, and stuff, things of that nature. They won't just throw numbers at you, number crunch, and then walk away and tell you James Harden is actually the greatest scorer of all time ever because of these fucking random fourth tier analytics I picked and walk away. It's a channel I really like. The other one that I've been watching a little bit recently, I think his name is Clayton Crowley. He has this series called like the greatest like the greatest teams and greatest players ever. I thought it was interesting. The way that he went into it and stuff is pretty interesting. But the greatest peaks from Thinking Basketball, I think, is a really good series if you're gonna check them out. Case for Gold. I think it's called Case for Gold. I think that might be what it is. I think his name is Clayton Crowley. I found him pretty recently, but Thinking Basketball has this one series. They took like players that are actually didn't they start with like Bill Walton and like no maybe it was Wilt Bill Walton and Hakeem Jordan KD Steph Kobe Garnett, players of that ilk and Shaq and stuff, and they compared them at their absolute peaks to see who had the greatest peaks. And I think you might be shocked by some players that you see there. It's really good series. I really liked it. They be saying that if you drop Wilt today, he won't be a superstar, which is cap. But even then, put 14-year-old Wilt in his time, and he's becoming a menace. I feel it. Wilt was apparently like an actual legitimate physical specimen and monster that was like athletic. Like I don't know what to do with him because he sounds like a fucking superhero sometimes. Where they're like. He dunked the ball
sometimes
so
they be
hard,
over exaggerated, but he obviously
cracked
great.
the
Though.
foot of and left a crater in the ground, and then someone tried. He backed on a player and he hit him through a wall. Like I don't know what to do with that sometimes. Then they say he lifted up Arnold Schwarzenegger or something like that. I don't remember. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know. So 91 to 93, MJ is the best peak ever in your opinion. I don't remember what Jordan they picked, but I think it was around that time. I don't think it was a second three-peat. I think it was around like 89 to like something they used. But yeah, check out Thinking Basketball. They're really good. I'm actually gonna head out because it's late and I'm hungry, and me and him have some other shit to do. But y'all be safe. I know this is a random ass stream that I don't really random ass shit and stuff. It's not impossible. We've seen Shaq. Fair enough. But some people say that like, I don't know though because Shaq was really agile before he started to put on the pounds. I don't know. But y'all be safe, man.